charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange owl. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. And every thread in the press. Wow!
Hello, I'm Ben.
Hi, I'm Tom.
And you're listening to Sunglasses at Night podcast. The year is 2019.
It sure is. This is the podcast where we cast our eyes back through time at a year in the past through musical history via the number one hits on the ARIA charts, the Australian Recording Industry Association charts, and ask ourselves what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, indeed. Look, 2019, it's a mere 4 years ago at this point, Tom. Last year of the decade, so next episode we'll get to do a full decade wrap of everything that was great about 2019,
Yes.
2018, the 2010s, yeah, the whole decade. So much good stuff in there as well as we've gone through so far over the past few episodes. What can you tell me about 2019?
Sure. Just one thing first. If you want to follow along with the videos, just look at the YouTube link in the description.
Yes,
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, 2019. I mean, it was a year of contrasts, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, that's just a fallback thing for any sort of travel commentary. Land of contrasts. Across the world, protesters hit the streets as though they were auditioning for a 1982 breakdancing movie. In Hong Kong, pro-democracy candidates swamped pro-China candidates in elections, setting up an inevitable conflict with that silly old Pooh Bear. Algerians took to the streets in February, eventually forcing their president to resign. Sudanese protesters pushed out President al-Bashir. Protests shook Bolivia, India, Nicaragua and Russia. Chileans hit the streets to fight inequality, whilst a proposed tax on WhatsApp in Lebanon unleashed a flood of anger.
Goodness.
I don't know, Ben. Maybe they hadn't heard of Telegram or something like that.
The WhatsApp tax. I forgot about that one.
The end of fuel subsidies sent the Iranians into the street, and demonstrations rocked their mates Iraq, raising questions about the country's future, questions which would shortly be answered with Trump's reply of, how about I let 5,000 Taliban troops out of jail at the same time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in other news, hit TV satire Black Mirror achieved notoriety with an episode about an Australian MRA who goes on a social media-inspired hate crime gun massacre, live streaming the entire thing to the fictional website Facebook, which, in a bit of dodgy writing, somehow broadcast the whole thing in real time, you know.
Damn.
But yeah, the TV episode was dismissed by conservative media as left-wing strawman nonsense, anti-gun propaganda and the typical leftist bogeyman threat of imaginary Nazis hiding in every bush.
Yep.
When it was pointed out that they were watching the news in the real world where this had actually occurred, they decided it was probably a mental health issue and went back to grifting incels by telling them they're in a war of civilization against brown people.
Yeah.
So, that fixed that problem. In music, Ariana Grande made history when the superstar became the first act to land the number 1, 2 and 3 spots on the Billboard Hot 100 chart since the Beatles did it in 1964.
Cool.
And the only solo act ever to do so. I think we can agree this disproves the charts haven't changed in 60 years.
Not at all.
And that scientifically, in terms of talent, it goes Paul McCartney, Ariana Grande, John Lennon, Ed Sheeran, Baby Shark, Cat on a Roomba, and the Black Eyed Peas.
For sure.
That's your cultural top 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the next time we're sending a gold record into space, it's going to have, all of that music carefully inscribed
etched on there.
Speaking of talent, Rihanna was named the richest female musician in the world at $600 million, which she's probably doubled by now. And I realised I'd been confusing Fenty with Fendi for about a decade just because they're fashion labels that make exactly the same shit and have almost the same name.
Absolutely.
And Robert Sylvester Kelly, to his friends, was finally released from the closet he'd been trapped in and brought up on charges of 10 counts of aggravated sexual abuse related to 4 alleged victims, failing to pay more than $160,000 in child support to his ex-wife, 11 charges of various sex crimes, 13 federal charges involving child pornography and obstruction of justice, racketeering, several violations of the Mann Act regarding white slavery and forced labour, engaging in prostitution with someone under 18, hiring someone underage for sexual contact, and bribing a government official in 1994 in order to get a fake ID for Aaliyah when she was 15 so he could marry her. Sounds like more woke news from the cancellation brigade, Ben, to me.
I know. Tell me about it.
Free R. Kelly.
Cancel culture.
I know.
At its worst, Tom.
Out of hand.
Exactly right.
Living in a nanny state.
Yeah, tell me about it. Is it still okay to play I Believe I Can Fly at your wedding? Is that still fine? Can you still do that? Like with R. Kelly being cancelled?
I hope so. Because I haven't covered up the tattoo yet.
No,
I'm still trying to think of a clever way of rephrasing I Believe I Can Fly. I was thinking about somehow trying to work Aerosport into the logo,
Yeah.
With Aerosport you can fly, maybe crossing out the top part, but
I reckon what I've done with mine is, Tom, I've made it I Believe I Can, and then where it says fly, I've tried to sort of wedge in Pretty Fly for a White Guy, because that's aged a lot better. So
than R. Kelly's.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
I Believe I Like Pretty Fly for a White Guy.
Hopefully Noodles doesn't end up on sex charges or so, or I'll be in trouble.
Christ, imagine how many off-grid
Is that his
tattoos.
name? Noodles?
Yeah.
Noodle?
That were going around from the late 90s.
Oh, yeah, there'd be a few, I imagine, definitely.
In movie news, the box office, biggest movies of 2019 were Avengers Endgame, The Lion King, Frozen 2, Spider-Man Far From Home, Captain Marvel, Joker, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, Toy Story 4, Aladdin, and Jumanji, The Next Level.
So literally not one thing that isn't part of a franchise or a sequel or a remake.
Yes.
That's good to see.
2 CGI remakes of cartoons based on ancient fairy tales, 6 sequels, including a sequel to a remake based on a movie, based on a book, based on a board game, and 2 movies about an existing character who's already appeared in TV shows, movies, and comics since 1958. There was exactly 1 hit movie song from out of that lot, which we'll discuss later. My personal favourite best songs from that year goes to Welcome to the Jungle from Jumanji, The Next Level.
Oh, good.
Rock and Roll Part 2 from Joker by R. Kelly supporter Gary Glitter, who's still okay with people for some reason. And, of course, the song that captured everyone's hearts in 2019, Friend Like Me, end title, end bracket, featuring full stop DJ Khaled by William F. Smith from the Aladdin remake, which was a timely reminder for all of us that Will's true original talent was for definitely holding notes without computer assistance and concocting raps such as, watch out, it's the genie with the attitude, when I'm out of the lamp, man, I'm out of control, and please don't get me started, I'm fly like a magic carpet.
Fucking hell, are they the real lyrics?
They are the real
Christ on a bike. That's
hey,
that's
look,
good stuff.
the public had been crying out. They'd said, Men in Black 2, Men in Black 3, this is all very well, but why have you stopped doing songs where you rap the story of the movie? Where's the Pursuit of Happiness rap, Ben?
Exactly.
Where's the 7 pounds rap?
I know, we've raised this before, and it's good to see him back in the rap game with such sublime lyrical content that really spell out what that sort of film is about. So.
And also, seriously, I mean, Chris Rock, he'd been warned. When he's out of the lamp, he's out of control. He should have heeded that, and
for sure. But I guess one doesn't think that when you're up on stage at the Oscars that the lyrics from an Aladdin soundtrack song are actually going to come true. So I don't know. Maybe you should have known. But.
If you pardon me, right at the top, I'll just try for some Stephen King style foreshadowing here. This is a really fucking weird year in the charts. This one in the ARIAs. There were only 10 number ones this year, which is a first. 2 of them were songs from previous years popping up again, which is also a first. 6 of the remaining 8 were from new contenders to the throne, which makes a nice change from last year, which was mostly a Drake Grande Sunday sort of thing.
Hell,
and the biggest song of the year was one of the new artists, and she was Australian, and the song didn't just beat the record for longest Aussie song, but smashed the record of total weeks for any number 1 song, knocking off Ed Sheeran, which is always worthy of a golf clap.
Absolutely.
I mean, 21 weeks, Ben. It must be a pretty amazing song to have done that, though.
Well, we'll get to it later. I think.
So
I don't know
no
what you mean.
spoilers.
Oh, no spoilers.
Let's hit the music.
Absolutely, let's do that. But yeah, you're right. A lot to talk about this week.
10 songs. I went back when we were in '83. We were talking about 2019.
Getting 20 songs an episode sometimes.
I thought in the future it would be more fractalized. There'd be more little bits of songs popping up everywhere. But in fact, it's the other way around.
The streaming era is weird because you're right. You think, okay, I, as a consumer, now have access to every song that's ever been written via Spotify. So you'd think people would be a lot... Yeah. That's right. Sort of the death of the monoculture, a lot more fragmented. You'd think there's going to be just a new number one song every week.
From all across the world.
We're going to have 50 songs in a year. One might stick around for 2 weeks, but there's going to be a lot more of that. Not just songs that are released now, but songs released in the past that have popped up in something, whether it's a TV show or some sort of bullshit TikTok, who knows. But instead we're getting these really long periods of songs that are just going
to mention that the prevailing theory seems to be that everyone's losing their fucking attention span, and you would think that
people just want to listen to the same song for 21 minutes.
Yeah, but apparently they do when it's this level of quality.
Absolutely.
But we'll get to that.
Absolutely. So, first song of the year, Tom, it's Sunflower.
Mm-hmm.
Post Malone. He's back.
Post Malone and Sway Lee.
Sway Lee. And this is for 3 weeks, Tom.
Yep.
So Post Malone's back 3 weeks with more weak shit, I'm going to say, straight off the top.
Well, that is kind of his brand.
Yeah, it is his brand. Pretty weak shit, and this is that. So
bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of like... It's like piano ballads, but through like a trap filter, you know what I mean? Like pretty boring, Delta Goodrem style power ballad. Not even there's no power there. It's sort of real low energy. It's usually just sort of like... warbly lyrics and vocals and some sort of like pretty weak instrumental. It's background music, effectively.
Yeah, it's your Xanax rap type thing.
Definitely. Look, Tom, reports from the front line of the recent Red Hot Chili Pepper Australian tour.
Oh, yes.
Which took place earlier in 2023. The Red Hot Chili Peppers, Flea, Anthony Kiedis, the other ones, they came to Australia to tour, and the report from the front line was that they were underwhelming. You may have read some of these reports. There are a few news reports.
I might have guessed that, but sure.
So, long-term fans of the band have said that Red Hot Chili Peppers, they didn't give it their best. It wasn't the best they'd seen. Some people even said, quote, "I'll never see them ever again," end quote. And I've been seeing them since the 90s. So people were very angry. They were upset that the set list wasn't great, the band wasn't great. And this is surprising that a group of 60-year-old men, who, depending on who you ask, are either 20 years past their prime, or some would say 30 years past their prime. Some might even argue for 35 at this point. But it's surprising that they could fail to deliver a set for the ages. I mean, I do like that Anthony Kiedis, I don't know if you saw any pictures, you didn't read the articles, but look, anyway, I'll tell you this, Tom, I like that Anthony Kiedis has the self-awareness these days to not be shirtless at all times, as it can be a bit degrading for a man over 60. So he started wearing a hot pink mesh shirt. So the sheer look really works for him, and he's not topless because he's more mature now, but you get to imagine what he would look like if he was topless, just in case you hadn't seen a picture of him for the last 40 years.
I'm not so concerned about the mesh shirt. I'm just assuming that below that there was nothing except a sock.
Yeah,
because if that didn't happen, I would feel that my $250 non-refundable Ticketmaster ticket would be not very well spent.
Well, fortunately,
I want to see knee-length 65-year-old man balls.
Well, exactly. Look,
gym sock or my money's worth.
I want to see a 61-year-old dressed like a 14-year-old skater, and I want to get a bit of top shaft. That's what I want. So
at minimum
top shaft. So I think
anyway, they were supported by Post Malone.
That's why I bring this up. You might be saying, Tom, why are you talking endlessly about the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
I know
this is Post Malone and Sway Lee. The reason I bring up the Red Hot Chili Peppers' underwhelming Australian tour, you're right, Tom, Post Malone supported them, and apparently, Tom, he won over a very large number of new fans. Now, for people to find his work engaging is a real testament to how poor the Red Hot Chili Peppers must have been.
I know.
As I said, it's such low energy. I can't imagine people getting excited in any situation.
I mean, the idea of him blowing any band off the stage.
It seems
he couldn't blow 2 leaves off a footpath
No.
with a petrol-powered leaf blower, I don't think.
So the Red Hot Chili
yet-
Peppers must have been abysmal.
You know, it's funny you say that, but I have seen people wearing Post Malone shirts around.
Yeah.
Not a flood of them.
No.
I've saw more metal shirts since the recent Knotfest. But I did. I saw. I remember because we were talking about it. I saw a few people wearing Post Malone shirts which I had not noticed before. But I have not seen a influx of new RHCP shirts.
Oh, look, Tom.
Or cocks on penises. Socks on penises.
I just assumed that in the Venn diagram, so that they were the Post Malone and Red Hot Chili Pepper fan were 2 circles that did not even touch, and now I've been led to believe that there's a crossover. Those circles are half and half crossover.
There's a certain sort of white trash stoner kind of thing, and the sort of new wave post new wave skate punk LA audience that the Chili Peppers, they don't really exist anymore. They probably would be listening to fucking Xanax rap now, so maybe there is a crossover.
Yeah, look,
not musically, but maybe in the audience demographic there is.
Well, Tom, I wasted an entire day listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers catalogue from the year 2000 onwards, and then Post Malone. And what I can say is I actually can see the crossover in the audience.
Oh, okay.
Because both artists are incredibly fucking boring. So there's almost no good work that the Red Hot Chili Peppers have done, I'm going to say, since 1991.
Yeah.
And even that's a stretch. But, yeah, and Post Malone, terrible. So that's probably that. So, look, that's enough Chili Peppers, Tom. Sorry, I didn't want to bring that up. But I just wanted to say that, Post Malone has been blowing Red Hot Chili Peppers fans out of the water. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Good to know that he's got a new fan base and he's attracting new audience. But look, this song itself, Tom, as you're aware, it's from the film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
That's what I was going to say,
Yep.
This is our big movie song of the year.
Yep.
Because that movie was huge. That weird sort of CGI cartoon reinterpretation of Spider-Man was weirdly massive.
Look, I wasn't aware that there actually was an animated Spider-Man film. I didn't actually know
It's pretty good,
that.
actually. It's probably better than the last few Spider-Man films have been.
Oh, look, I'm glad they made it, because I feel that Spider-Man story is one that needs to be told and has been underrepresented in the world of cinema over the past few decades.
Batman, when will they tell us how he became a Batman?
I don't even know. I don't know about Spider-Man.
It's
I don't know.
one of the most fascinating parts about them is the enduring mystery of their origins.
Yeah, but so I'm glad that they've brought that story to life so that people can finally hear it.
Yeah, this was not written for the movie, so it's the main single from the soundtrack. So it couldn't. It's out of Oscar contention.
Damn, really?
But So even the that fucking Happy from Pharrell that we had at number one before.
For Despicable 2 or something.
Yeah, believe it or not, was written specifically for Despicable Me 3.
Okay.
But this was, I think they just used it in the movie. They probably remixed it for the film.
They could have lied, like Stevie Wonder style, was it?
True. Just said, "Oh no, I made it up in 1984 while I was having a vision of this movie." But yeah, they're sort of, you got your Spider-Mans now have weirdly kind of fractured into, they've almost caught up with the comics where they've just fractured into the multiverse thing where the person, there's no sort of set character of the person. He can just be played by whoever you want at the time. So now we've sort of got the kind of white dorky Spider-Man and you've got a younger hip black Spider-Man who appears in several movies and is in the new video games.
Yep.
And he is in this one. He's the main. There's other Spider-Man versions of, but he's the main guy that you start off the film with. And he listens to hip hop, which is accurate for his character. And his uncle's was like an ex-rapper or whatever. So having a bunch of hip hop on the soundtrack makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
And I think possibly that might be why I reckon personally this is better than the previous Post Malone entries we've covered. I mean, the obvious follow-up statement would be that it's better to piss your bed than take 2 huge shits in it.
Yeah.
But I thought by the standards of Psycho and White Iverson and whatever that other fucking one was, this isn't too bad.
This is better than Psycho.
That probably, I reckon, maybe is because A, it's short.
Yep.
B, 3/4 of the vocals are done by someone else who can sing a bit. Sway Lee, that is, and the production is good enough to convince you that the vocal effects are deliberate artistic flourishes as opposed to a necessary disguise of the fact that neither singer can hold a note particularly well without a computer.
Correct.
But even by that standard, Sway Lee, I mean, Post Malone can't sing or rap, so any improvement over that,
Exactly.
any modicum of talent. But
Yeah, he needs a featuring on every song he does, I think.
Oh,
just to
100%.
sort of bring it out of the fucking garbage.
yeah,
so.
he should do the Drake or fucking Timbaland thing and just step back, put your name at the start of every song like a logo, and then have other people do the music.
Just do all the
you know?
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What did so did Post Malone? Is this one he composed, or what's he had to say about this track?
He said, this song is so positive and uplifting that you can't be sad listening to it.
Oh.
Shout out to Sway, who is such a fucking god. One of the most talented people I have ever met. He is a genius!
There you
Exclamation
go.
mark. So, there's a saying, Ben.
Yep.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, Similarly, to the homeless dude, the guy with the fridge box is the landlord.
Yep.
To the crock wearer, a guy with a gold-plated toilet seat is the king shit of style mountain. And to the dumbass, the loudest cockhead in the room is a genius. But Trump voters aside, having no discernment doesn't necessarily mean that a person is wrong. Occasionally a person sounds like a genius to both the wit and the fuckwit alike,
Yep.
Maybe Sway Lee, a.k.a. Kid Crunk, a.k.a. Kid the Great, a.k.a. I Hipster Lee, a.k.a. Khalif Malik Ibn Shayman Brown, his actual name, is a musical genius. He co-wrote this song, which went 17 times platinum, which is more than a diamond and a half, fuck's sake, not to mention co-writing Formation with Beyonce and collaborating with at least half a dozen number one artists we've already talked about, like Ellie Goulding, Wiz Khalifa, Drake, Bauer, Nicki Minaj and Madonna. Post Malone discussing the song was, as you said, happy to credit him with the success, calling him both a god and a genius. Would you personally describe him as a genius, Ben, or more as an actual living deity sent to Earth for the mere flutter of a butterfly's wing, thus to trip light among the whirling, evanescent leaves of morality and mortality, and light their chaotic dance with the undying glow of godhood, plus help Post Malone get a song on the Spider-Man soundtrack,
I wouldn't, but that's I've not worked with him, Tom. You see.
That's true.
Perhaps if I do work with Sway Lee in the future, I will be like, yes, Post Malone was onto something. Look, he's also one half of the hip-hop duo Ray Sremmurd. I can't even say it. With his brother. So him and his brother are in a hip-hop duo.
Okay.
They had a top 10 hit back in 2016 with their song Black Beatles. So him and the bro, they had a previous top 10 hit a couple of years ago.
I did not know that.
Hard to say who the Black Beatles are, but it's probably not these guys. I don't really know. It's New Edition.
Oh, it's Black Beatles spelt as in the band.
Yeah, Black Beatles. Yeah, that's how they've spelled it. So yeah,
they can join our 30-page long list of people who've been called the New Beatles.
Yeah, well, I'm saying New Edition is the Black Beatles. You got Bobby Brown, remember?
Bobby Brown, yep.
The Bell Biv DeVoe, all three of those guys. Johnny Gill. I don't have to say any more, I don't think.
Also, the Three Amigos were the Beatles of hip hop.
Yeah,
although then one of them died. So now there's only two Amigos.
Sad. Look, Sway Lee and his brother, Sway Lee or his brother. I'm not sure which is which, because they look very similar. In the video clip for Black Beatles, he's rocking a Nelly-style band-aid on his face, which is a pretty sick look.
Yeah.
And the video clip, it's basically live footage of them playing guitar, even though the song features no guitar whatsoever. So I really like that. I think that's pretty good. So I want to hear more from, I can't pronounce that, Ray Sremmurd, but I want to hear more from those guys. And hopefully they'll team up both the brothers and Post Malone. Because one of the brothers and Post Malone have created this great track from Spider-Man. Imagine both brothers and Post Malone come together.
Well, then they only need a fourth person, and then they could be the New Beatles, not just the Black Beatles.
Exactly.
Who would that fourth person be, though?
Oh, I don't know.
Kid Rock, I'm thinking. It's probably Kid Rock.
Absolutely. Has this got some Spider-Man based lyrics? or not?
I was going to ask you how you felt about the video, but as far as I can recall, the video was just mostly stuff from the Spider-Man.
It was pretty much just a Spider-Man. Yeah, it seemed to be animated Spider-Man animated bits from the film. So that's what I took away from it. So which is fine.
So it wasn't as much fun as Post Malone driving an armoured car around the desert for no
wasn't.
reason.
It wasn't.
Shooting a dog with a flamethrower.
No, it wasn't that good, but
Alright, lyrics. Every time I'm walking out, I can hear you telling me to turn around, fighting for my trust, and you won't back down. Even if we gotta risk it all right now, oh, I know you're scared of the unknown. You don't want to be alone. I know I always come and go, but it's out of my control. Well, it's not. You're just being a piece of shit. But he's hardly the Lone Ranger there. The entire male rock songbook was about that for 30 years, basically. Yeah. I mean, in general, these lyrics, although they're fairly bland, are also reasonably cogent and listenable compared to his usual bullshit about diamond watches mumbled through a Xanax haze. He's also singing more here than rapping, which might have something to do with it. Or maybe the truth lies with the other 5 people credited on the track, Sway Lee, Carl Rosen, producers Carter Lang and Louis Bell, or Billy Walsh, who has written for Kanye West, The Weeknd and Lil Wayne, but has also written for Post Malone. So what do you think, Ben? Is Post Office Malone a better singer than rapper? Or is he more of an original rapper like Will Smith, who should stick to what he's good at, rapping about being a genie?
Yeah, it's hard to know which of those skills he does excel at.
Don't tell
one
me
over
that
the other.
Post Malone couldn't play, the hilarious cartoon warthog in a new Disney adaptation.
I think he probably could. Look, I'm going to say he doesn't really sing a lot because he uses the auto-tune, doesn't he?
Yep.
But then his rapping is pretty substandard as well. So I think he's probably just... he's just an entertainer, Tom, across the board of all the different levels.
A bon vivant. Yes.
He is, yeah, exactly.
Jack of all trades.
Exactly. But look, I don't need to hear any more of his work.
No.
I certainly hope that any artists that I enjoy will not be coming out to Australia and have Post Malone supporting them. So I can't really see that happening, but you never know. Perhaps one day it could.
All right. What do we got next?
Post Malone, 51 million Spotify listeners. We know he's got a lot.
Right.
Sway Lee's got 25 mil.
Fucking hell.
That's a fair bit. And this is going to cost you $25 on Discogs for the cheapest copy of a CD single.
What about the Red Hot Chili Peppers? How are they going?
On Spotify? Well, I reckon their numbers have probably come down, Tom, because I assume that what
certainly
happened
since that last concert.
Exactly. All those...
taken off a few playlists.
I think all of those Red Hot Chili Pepper fans are now listening to Post Malone on Spotify.
Yes.
So
buying the T-shirts.
Yeah.
Throwing their old socks away that they used to put around their penises.
28 million.
28 million?
But I reckon that's down. I reckon they used to have like 40. And
also, they've been around since the 80s.
Yeah. Everyone's just jumped ship, I think. Yeah. So, definitely.
I've got to rewatch that Josh Brolin skateboard movie where they appear in it. I want to see how it holds up.
I'm sure it's very good. All right, next. Up next.
Yes.
We've got Ariana Grande. She's back, Tom.
She is.
With 7 rings.
Would have been good if it was 7 weeks, but
it would have been
5 weeks.
Exactly right. Exactly.
So, why is this song called 7 Rings, Ben?
Look, Tom, I assume 7 rings is the number of rings she has in her drawer from failed engagements. Is that your takeaway, I gather?
No.
Probably. So,
no.
Look, I don't know. All what I can remember is that the biggest story to come out at the time of this song hitting number 1 on the ARIA charts was that Ariana decided to get a 7 rings tattoo. Using Japanese kanji characters for no apparent reason. This song isn't anything to do with Japan, but she thought, I'll get 7 rings, but rather than just getting 7 rings tattooed, I'll get it in the Japanese kanji characters. So unfortunately she got the kanji character for 7, and then she got the kanji character for ring,
Yeah.
next to each other. Now, Japanese isn't that simple, Tom. That's not exactly the way it works. So when you put those next to each other, it doesn't make 7 rings, but combined it actually makes shichilian, which translates to small charcoal-fired barbecue grill. So it's not the same thing, Tom. It's not the same thing at all. So Ariana got that tattoo.
Sounds delicious, though. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
for sure. Now, if Ariana was to write a song called Small Charcoal-Fired Barbecue Grill and get that to number 1, then the tattoo would be fine.
Yeah.
That would be quite the feat, to sort of write a song and get it to number 1 just to retroactively make her tattoo not totally fucking stupid, Tom. So anyway, a Japanese speaker pointed this out on Twitter, said to Ariana it makes no sense, and advised her if she added the character for finger after the 2 characters she already had, then that would modify the meaning from small barbecue grill to 7 rings. So all was not lost.
Yeah.
So, she didn't have, unfortunately for Ariana, she didn't get that character added next to the other 2. She got it put under the other 2. So now, her tattoo reads, Small Charcoal-Fired Barbecue Grill Finger. Now she has to write a song called Small Charcoal Grill-Fired Barbecue Finger and get that to the top of the charts so her tattoo retrospectively makes sense. She's going to need Max Martin to help on that one, I think, to get to the top of the charts. I'm not even sure he has a skill set to write a song about grilling and eating human fingers and getting that to the top of the charts. It'd be quite a departure from regular pop song themes, you know. The Veronicas are not afraid to write a song about fingering themselves, but even they wouldn't write a song about eating fingers straight off a grilled barbecue, I would assume.
And I don't think Grande doesn't have the sort of entrepreneurial nous of your Rihanna, or she would immediately have rushed to put out a range of charcoal barbecue ready-to-eat fingers.
I know, that's correct.
With her face on them, and
Yep.
she could have made heaps in the Asian market, where I assume she does quite well because she looks somewhat like a fuckable 13-year-old.
She should do very well
Does
in Japan.
fairly well in Japanese audience.
You're right. Snoop Dogg would have had that grill on the market fucking immediately, and then a range of like
He would have done the grill
fingers.
first, then the tattoo after.
Exactly, for sure. I know.
Although I still think that tattoo is less fucking stupid than Ed Sheeran getting a fake typo tattoo for a fictional pub tattooed on himself.
And then claiming, and then making up a story about how, she told me that, and then I got it done, and then went, actually, I made up the story about it. It's ridiculous. That's actually way stupider.
The actual reason for the rings is that basically Ariana Grande got 7 rings made to commemorate her friendship with her 6 best mates, so they all get to have a ring. On December the 1st, Ariana revealed the owners of the rings. Herself, Victoria Monet, Courtney Cipollone, Alexa Luria, Taylor Parks, Nomza, and Cadence Krizyuk, all of whom have a writing credit on this song.
Wow.
Except for Courtney and Alexa. 7 women with 1.5 real names between them, united by friendship, symbolised by rings, which reminds me of another story, Ben, an ancient tale about a group of people who were given rings by a powerful individual, believing that the rings would confer power onto them, too. Instead, the rings corrupted them irreversibly and were used by the owner of the original ring, or the one ring, if you will, first to corrupt them, then to control them, then to destroy them, and ultimately threaten the world itself. Obviously, I'm talking about Barbershop 2: Back in Business, and its themes remain as relevant today as they ever were. In short, I'm asking, why does Ariana Grande want to destroy the world, Ben, and all of her friends, and should I be investing in an underground bunker full of Alex Jones supplements at this point?
Look, it's a really good question. Who the fuck are any of those people that she gave the ring to? I mean, I was thinking it was going to be, like a couple of members of the Pussycat Dolls or some shit like that, but it was just a bunch of random people. Is she trying to destroy the world with shitty music? I think she is, Tom. She certainly is. I'd definitely be building that bunker and make sure you've got the shelves stacked with those Alan Jones supplements, because they might be out of production soon once he realises that he'll have to, I don't know, go to prison or something after he can't pay the hundreds of millions of dollars the court have ordered him to pay for suggesting that Sandy Hook was a hoax. But, you know,
for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. So
what makes that story even weirder, just as a side note, is that not many people outside the recording industry know this, Ben, but Ariana Grande is actually a Bratz doll that was brought to life by a sorcerer who worked part-time at Starbucks. That explains why she never ages, only has one haircut, and when left to her own devices, her limbs naturally reset to her original pose from the toy box, which was lying face down on a bed, kicking her legs in the air, which she pointed out last week, which she's doing at timestamp 0:08 seconds into this video, and then again at 35 seconds into the video.
Yeah, but Tom, I think you're being a little bit unfair there. I did mention that she likes to kick her legs up and down while lying in a bed in music videos. We've talked about that, but look, she doesn't actually do that in this video, Tom. She kicks her legs up and down while lying on a kitchen bench, which shows artistic growth.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So, is she on a bed earlier? I can't recall, but there's a bit where she's doing the leg kick up while on a kitchen bench. It's a totally different thing,
That's
Tom.
right.
So
it's come a long way.
Artistic growth, correct, yeah. Look, this is a friendship anthem, as you said.
Yep.
That's one way of putting it. It's also a fucking cover of my favourite things from The Sound of Music, blended with a generic pop trap beat and Grande rapping, which is as bad as it sounds. Now,
even calling it rapping is...
I'm using the term.
Post Malone terrain.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, can you buy hits? And by that I mean...
good question.
This is the only reason this is a hit is because she's taken that Sound of Music bullshit and going, these are a few of my favourite things, blah, 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 and then and then has that part, which everyone knows, and goes, oh, yeah, great, it's something that I know from the past, yay, and how good am I for remembering things? And then the other bits are just like the blandest music known to man, but then it comes back to the chorus and people sing that, so she's effectively just generated a hit out of taking a pre-existing song. It's a cover, effectively.
Yeah, this is credited to Ariana Grande, Richard Rodgers, TB Hits, Nomza, Mikey Foster, Cadence, Talia Parks, Scooty, Oscar Hammerstein II, and Victoria Monet. In a development that nobody could have predicted, they ended up paying 90% of the songwriting royalties to the estate of Rodgers and Hammerstein for nicking the tune of Julie Andrews' famous My Favourite Things from The Sound of Music.
So she was only left over with enough money to cover the tattoo by the sounds of the song.
Right. And the song also interpolates the Notorious B.I.G.'s Gimme the Loot in the bridge.
Oh, cool.
Then the song drew further controversy for its similarities to songs by Princess Nokia, Soulja Boy's Tell 'Em, and 2 Chainz, leading to Grande recruiting 2 Chainz for the remix as a sort of payoff. And then Cadence, one of the 7 ring holders, publicly complained that she wasn't credited on enough of the songs on this album, including this one, where other ring holders had received credit for songs they hadn't contributed to, according to her, drawing other ring-owning fake name havers like Monet and Sparks into the disagreement. And meanwhile, in a shadow-haunted cavern atop a distant mountain, lit from below by the infernal glow of bubbling lava, Grande looked down at the one ring adorning her doll-sized hand, Ben, and laughed and laughed and laughed while kicking her tiny little feet in the air. You know, you'd think people would have learned from Barbershop 2, back in business, but they didn't.
Or Captain Planet, Tom. Those rings can sort of, you know,
That's right.
They can.
Look what happened to
use
Captain
them for
Planet.
good or for evil.
One day
really.
he just turned into Tom Cruise, and, you know, that was the end of the story.
Wow, Tom, what a wicked web she weaves. She's just ripped off a popular song from a popular film that everyone knows, had to pay all the songwriting credits to that estate, and then the other ring holders are getting into a fight for the remaining residual 10%.
I mean, truly, like, it goes to what you're saying, jokes aside, that is the answer to the question. A, can you buy a hit? Basically, you can, yes, but then you may end up paying off. The profits get paid, passed back up the chain, Amway style, to the people that you bought the fucking hit off.
For sure. I mean, it's
if you're going to buy a hit off someone, kill them and dump them under a bridge, basically.
Yeah, being a one-hit wonder where your one hit is a cover, it's a slippery slope, isn't it, Tom? Because you're a one-hit wonder, which is never good. You've got a hit, but all the money you've generated off that hit has gone to another songwriter, in effect. So, Pour one out for Alien Ant Farm, I guess. But certainly Ariana Grande, she doesn't have to worry about that because she's got plenty of other hits in the bank.
Yep.
Plenty of other hits there. So look, what about the lyrics to this, Tom? It's all about her favourite things, I assume, or some bullshit?
Yeah. I mean, this is not rapping delivery of the vocals, but it's influenced enough by rap that she wastes most of her actual vocal talent by sort of talk singing through a computer over the top of other people's music. And as I said, it's credited to like 10 people. But yeah, lyrically, I mean, look, just to jump back for a second, the video for this looks like a kid's toy aisle viewed through the eyes of an adult pervert, e.g. as a sort of lust-hazed pink glitter nightmare where, in grand American fashion, everything is promised but nothing ever actually arrives. Sometimes that's a good thing, I guess, when you're dealing with the sort of brutally unsubtle sexualisation of adolescence combined with a nauseating supplication at the altar of capitalism. In the lyrics of this, the chorus of this, for instance, is a repetition of the phrase, I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it,
Yep.
which is like a Kmart slogan except less subtle. She directly states that paying her respect is the act of giving her money. Like,
Yeah.
that's literally what she says in the song. Been through some bad shit, I should be a sad bitch. Who would have thought it'd turn me to a savage? Rather be tied up with calls and not strings. Write my own checks like I write what I sing, yeah.
Right.
The fact that she doesn't seem to have written any of this song, hasn't been through any bad shit, has never written a check in her life, and is about as savage as a moist towelette from KFC, makes me wonder if I can even trust her about how rich she has been. Can I trust anything these rappers say, these rappers that they have now been?
Oh, these rap singers, Tong, I think, there's a lot of bravado, there's a lot of, you're right, fakeness, talking about how things are, and look, I think you can't trust rappers such as Ariana.
Does
She
Post
is one of the-
Malone even own a diamond watch? Like, who am
I don't
I?
know. Does he even... That
day is
that tank he was driving around in, was that even his? I'm not sure. So
Is he really in the army? I just don't,
I don't know. You can't trust the rappers these days, and you certainly, I think Ariana, you're right. I can't trust a word she fucking says.
No. Man.
At all.
And I'm never taking any rings off it.
No, definitely not. Definitely. So, you got anything else to say about this?
No, please, let's move on.
She's got 79 million listeners. That's a lot.
Fuck
This
me.
would cost cheapest copy of this, $66, Tom.
That might be the most listeners for a woman
Oh, we're
that
getting
we've
close.
ever had.
We're getting
I think.
Rihanna might be pushing that, but or I don't know. Who knows? But very
Sorry.
close. Very close. Yep. So cool. Up next for 2 weeks.
Yep.
It's Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, Shallow.
Yes.
Now,
First of our two returning contenders.
we talked about this last week. Obviously, the Academy Award wins.
Yep.
In February,
Yep.
would have, I guess, got people to go, what's that?
Yes.
And then listen to this again, and that was enough to
They
get
also
it back up to the
performed
chart.
the song at the awards in a sort of fair to middling level of horniness on stage by the two actors
Yeah.
who did, to their credit, actually perform the song in the movie as well. So,
Yep.
in real life, I mean, so... Yeah, that
Absolutely.
probably got a lot of people to start
Got a lot of
following.
people interested in this if they miss it the first time. You got anything else to add?
Not really. Originally, according to co-writer Mark Ronson and producer, this was originally just meant to be like an ally song, e.g. for the Lady Gaga character to sing.
Yep.
Which makes some sense because she wrote all the lyrics. But yeah, I didn't really have anything to say other than just for one last pointless time, this could be called Shallows, Not Shallow, which coincidentally would avoid the song being named after an insult, often directed at exactly this type of music and artist. Plus, doesn't make sense grammatically in the song. I wrote several letters to the record company about this, but after I started including blood vials, they referred me to the FBI, and now I can't leave the state without written permission.
Jesus, it'll happen.
Thanks a lot, Obama.
Yeah, exactly. He's ruined everything. Yeah, look, I don't have anything more to say about that. I think we sort of covered it last week.
Let's move on.
Up next is the Jonas Brothers with soccer, Tom, for, is that 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, there you go. Now, Tom, I know you've been a big fan of the Jonas Brothers since they covered Yo Ho, A Pirate's Life for Me, from Pirates of the Caribbean, for the Disney Mania 4 album in 2006. So I know you've been on the Jonas Brothers bandwagon for some time.
I have.
Surprisingly, this is their first number one, though.
Yeah, yes. No, I mean, I was under the mistaken impression that it's just in as much as I was aware of the Jonas Brothers at all, which was a sort of hazy background Disney tween pin-up poster version of Hanson, that they'd broken up. And it turns out that they had broken up, or they'd, taken a hiatus or whatever.
Yep.
And this is their first track after being away for 6 years.
Yep.
After the Brothers Jonas, or BJs as they call them, called it quits in 2013. As happened with the Backstreet Boys after they reformed, however, this new single became their biggest hit to date. Weirdly, because people were just, I guess, happy to see what they'd been up to in the garage all that time, and got to number one in Australia, Canada, Latvia, Mexico, New Zealand, Singapore, Slovakia, and the US Billboard charts. So yeah, as you say, they just go away, come back with your big hit, I'm suggesting some other acts should maybe try that, try that technique.
Should disappear for half a decade or more and then make a comeback. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The public was starved of Jonas Brothers content for a good 5 years.
Clearly.
So as soon as this came out, they went out and bought or streamed the track en masse, got it to the top of the charts, their biggest song now. Tom, which one of the Jonas Brothers are you a sucker for? I know most people go for Nick Jonas, but I'm more of a Joe Jonas person myself. I mean, Nick featured on We Are the World 25 for Haiti, so fuck that. That's a strike against his name to begin with. I mean, look, I'm all for raising money for Haiti, but look, just write a new fucking song. We don't need to hear We Are the World again for the millionth time. And also, Tom, Nick Jonas has admitted that one talent he doesn't have is whistling. Another cross against him for me. So that's why when the Jonas Brothers perform this song live, which has a lot of whistling in it, it's Joe who handles the whistling duties. Another reason why he's my favourite. And as they say, Tom, a man who knows how to whistle is a man who knows how to suck a dick. So, but alas, he isn't gay, I don't believe. He's married to Sophie Turner, who you might know as Sansa Stark on Game of Thrones.
Yes.
So she's a Jonas sister now, I think. I think that's how it goes. So,
yes. Well, yeah.
Sorry, now, Tom, sorry.
Oh, you go.
I was just going to say that you mentioned their breakup back in 2013.
I sure did, yes.
They've come back here now. Apparently they split in 2013 due to, quote, a deep rift within the band over creative differences, end quote.
Good old creative differences.
That raises a big question for me, Tom. What creative differences could a group devoid of any creativity have? How does one have creative differences when there's nothing within this band that I would consider to be creative at all?
Well, creative differences used to just be the old, lazy journalism speak for they all fucking hate
don't like each other anymore.
Yeah, can't stand to spend any studio time. But these days, when you don't need to spend any studio time, you can just hire, a stripper, 3 guys from Latvia, and 2 guys who had, SoundCloud raps just hit number 1 that week to just write the whole song for you, and then chuck in some shit from The Sound of Music. I don't really see, how much studio time would even be necessary. Although, I guess you could say that by comparison to all the shit we've had in the last decade or so, this is kind of a song.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is an actual song.
They seem to be in a
credit
band.
where credit's due. They've written. This is a song that seems to be
there's
something
people singing and playing music. So maybe they did. Maybe they just got sick of their fucking boy band dorky status, and then
this is actually one of the better ones of the year, which is
I know
I'm not saying it's great, but one of the better ones.
Disposable pop song I kind of like. It's heavily influenced by Justin Timberlake, I thought, but that's better than being heavily influenced by Bratz Dolls, Blood Diamonds, and Rodgers and fucking Hammerstein.
Oh, look, no doubt. Look, I think the creative differences, I mean, I'm not sure, but I gathered it was probably something like, Nick Jonas saying, we got to do. I want to do a song for the Croods, and then Joe being like, no way, it's Monsters University soundtrack or nothing, and then the other one like, well, I'm going to work on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 or something. So fighting about what soundtrack they need to be attached to, and I think that was just like, well, we're done. We can't possibly write a song for all three of these films. Creative differences, see you later. Right. And then 6 years later they went, let's get back together. And look, they put their creative differences aside to get back together, Tom. And I don't know, do you think that the reunion could have possibly been sparked by the fact that the solo careers of each Jonas brother went absolutely fucking nowhere?
No.
That could be. No. Maybe that was that.
That's a coincidence, Ben.
Because it seems to be sort of every boy band that it's like, we're all going solo. And then 6 years later it's like, oh, fucking hell. None of them have worked out. And then they try and get Robbie Williams back into the fold, and he's like, dude, I'm doing way fucking better without you guys. No, I don't need to join back into fucking take that. And all the other four dudes from Take That are like, we desperately need this.
Please, we've got mortgages.
Exactly.
Jack us a point, will you?
Yep.
Look, the music video was directed by Anthony Mandler and won Best Pop Video at the MTV Music Awards 2019. It features the three partners of each BJ, Bollywood megastar and Miss World Priyanka Chopra Jonas, Emmy winner and, as you said, Game of Thrones queen Sophie Turner, and former hairdresser Danielle Jonas. That's a cheap joke, and really credit to her. I would say out of the six of them, she's done the best out of this deal.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was the video was filmed in Hertfordshire at Hatfield House, the home of the Marquess of Salisbury, where Queen Elizabeth I grew up. It looks fucking fun, to be honest. That's this enormous mansion, like a legit huge big mansion. It looks a bit. The video looks a bit like that Pink Alice in Wonderland song.
Oh, yeah.
Just a lot of Bridgerton-style dress-ups and fucking around in a huge mansion. Yeah. Look,
but with less sort of Alice in Wonderland vibes.
Yeah, and guys wearing Monster Energy drink motorbike tops telling you that you're doing too much elastic bungee work in the lounge room. But yeah. I mean, so those really massive. I mean, that's what they used to call a house back in Britain. Like you look at
Manor House.
That fucking Downton Abbey. You look at that from the outside and you go, fuck, that's massive. But some of the ones where the fucking royals lived, it's just insane. I mean, it's not the only reason that you don't call them a castle is because a castle implies
like turrets,
military fortifications and a moat and stuff. These were just the shit they built when they ran the world so comprehensively that they didn't need to have moats anymore.
Correct.
So they just built them. Yeah. Anyway, as I said, I didn't hate this. Like, if you fancy a stripped back sort of JT style dance pop hit with falsetto vocal and real instruments, this might be up your cranny,
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this is definitely probably the best song of theirs that I've heard. The other ones are generally trash, and if you're wondering why their past music was so terrible, Tom, here's the answers. The brothers are evangelical Christians who were homeschooled. They abstained from sex and wore purity rings as a symbol of their belief that sex should not occur until marriage. Now, homeschooled Christian virgins have never produced anything of quality. Prove me wrong, Tom. As Prince probably once said, if you haven't fingered a vagina, then you'll never be able to get the fingering right on a clarinet and will never write a good song.
That's true.
I believe that's on his gravestone. I'm not 100% certain.
That's why Hanson were all fuck machines.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely
that's
right.
What set them apart from the Jonas Brothers.
Now, I've got one thing to say, Tom.
Sure.
Watch out, Colonel Sanders. That's what I'm saying. Watch out, Colonel Sanders.
Why is that?
The Jonas Brothers are fucking coming at you.
Oh, shit.
They teamed up to open a restaurant called Nellie's Southern Kitchen in North Carolina in early 2016, which I think is trying to serve up some southern fried chicken and southern fried hospitality, Tom.
Just as a sidebar, Ben, what skin colour would you call the Jonas Brothers?
I don't know. Are they white?
Sorry, just please. I interrupted you again.
That's fine.
So, what are the three white Christians' Southern Kitchen chicken franchise?
It's also a live music venue, but
Oh,
but I reckon they're gunning for that Colonel territory. I think they've said, let's open up a Southern Fried Chicken outlet, and we're gonna fucking take over that dude's sort of shit. So
yeah,
that's what
I
I'm
think
saying. Watch out, Colonel
I
Sanders.
think you're right.
I mean, who knows? In 5 years' time, we all might be eating like Jonas chicken or something. JFC.
It could be. I mean, it might be time for the Colonel to step aside.
It might be, absolutely. Let some new blood in, so for
Three
sure.
Christian virgins
Yeah.
step up. Portugal the Man, if you've heard of them, they accused the Jonas Brothers this song of copying their 2017 single Feel It Still.
Oh.
They tweeted, to be fair, the chorus of Feel It Still sounds very similar to Please Mr. Postman by the Marvelettes, which we respectfully cleared and thanked them for every chance we got, as one does. That's some quality passive aggression there. It does point something that we haven't mentioned before, though. When someone copies something you've done, a large part of the pain isn't from lost revenue or jealousy. It's from the insult to your pride, I bet you a lot of these lawsuits that we've talked about in the past could have been stopped at the outset with a phone call, or a liner note, or saying, hey, shouts out to the Teletubbies for the chorus of my new single, Love Ed Sheeran, or something.
Yep, absolutely.
By offsetting the wounded pride. But, yeah. Portugal the Man said it was cool later on, which was lucky for the Jonases because they sound pretty fucking similar, these songs. In fact, a lot closer than plenty of the shit we've done in the past. Anyway.
Did they end up getting a songwriting credit on this, or they just went, oh,
no.
thank you?
No, they don't.
No,
but
you got to sue. You got to sue and get like a 20% cut or so. That's the
yeah.
ticket. If they sound very similar, go ahead.
Well,
as we've seen, people just do it when they sound
exactly.
nothing alike.
In the old days, you would have been pushing it, but now that we've got the word interpolation,
absolutely.
Basically. No, I mean, that's kind of what he's saying, He's just not saying you don't have to give us songwriting credit, but you could at least,
Thank us.
Correct.
Correct.
Lyrics, you got anything else?
No, I don't. Lyrics to this. Tell me about it.
This is credited to Homer Steinweiss, Mustafa, producers Ryan Tedder and Ging, Nick Jonas, Joe Jonas, Kevin Jonas, and our old mate Louis Bell, who rose to fame after writing Post Malone's Rockstar, in much the same way that even if you hit the full flush button twice, a turd will still sometimes rise to fame in the toilet bowl of a filthy public lavatory. But yeah, if we employ my patented thematically interpretive three-way artistic nominative classification system, or titwanks, this song falls into category 1, aka I Want to Bone You.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for you, yeah. Say the word and I'll go anywhere blindly. I'm a sucker for you, yeah. Any road you take, you know that you'll find me. I'm a sucker for all the subliminal things. He doesn't go on to note that Americans lost more than $8.8 billion to scams in 2022 alone, an increase of 30% from the previous year. But it's fairly safe to assume from these lyrics that the Jonas Brothers were heavily leveraged in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, thought Theranos was going to revolutionise the world of blood testing, and are happy that you can finally be funny on Twitter again.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So,
guessing that's what they're saying.
Oh, look, I assume so. That's what I always took away from the song. So, look, the Jonas Brothers, I don't know. This is probably about as good as we're going to get from these guys, isn't it?
I would have thought so, yeah. I was kind of surprised by how good it was, by what little I knew of them in the past, and by the words, abstinence ring, Christian brother.
Yeah, if you're wearing a purity ring at any time in your life, then you're not going to be very good at anything that you do in a creative sort of context. I would
not have thought so.
Anyway, look, 20 mil.
20 mil
on Spotify, and you can pick this up for $10. So one of the cheaper purchases, I think. So
that makes
well worth the $10. I think if you got any Jonas Brothers fans in your life and need a birthday present for them at some stage. All right, up next, Tom. It is Billie Eilish with Bad Guy.
Yeah, only 2 weeks, but it did have a lot of impact, I felt like.
Absolutely.
People were talking about this a lot.
The hottest young star, I think.
Yes,
of,
teenager.
2019 scores her first number one with Bad Guy.
Mm-hmm.
This was her 19th single. which is pretty nuts
Wow.
when you consider the fact that she was only about 16 or 17, I think, when this came out. She'd released a fuckload of other songs before this. So I think she'd done... This was off her debut album. I think she did that thing where she dropped a heap of singles and EPs and a bit of that
online
action.
and stuff.
Prior to releasing the album. So Billy writes and records music with her brother. So this is a family band. Basically, Billie Eilish is the American Shepherd. Who you may recall from Saint Geronimo at some time in the past.
Right.
So, absolutely. Look, here's a question, Tom. When is someone who's talked about as the future of pop music actually going to do something interesting? I don't hate this, but it's far from exceptional, and every other Billie Eilish song I've heard is some of the blandest shit going. It's sort of like wall-to-wall piano ballads and other folky garbage, so I feel like she's like... the future of pop music. She's a young, great performer who's really pushing the music forward, and then I listen to it and go, same old shit.
I mean, I've got to admit, I've only heard about 3 or 4 songs of hers. I haven't listened to a whole album. But to me, they seem to have a sort of stripped-back quality, which I would argue is distinct from the sort of manufactured, stripped-back quality of Post Malone.
Yep.
That, the sort of production line,
It's
and
more
that
of a classical sort of, not classical music, but sort of more of a sort of tried and tested formula with her voice probably being a unique instrument. Doing something there. But, yeah.
And I mean, even they are quite minimal. Like her James Bond song, theme song, that was quite a minimal one. I mean, you could say, okay, I mean, a lot of that minimalism probably comes from the fact that she doesn't have, she can't do huge, Rihanna-style arena choruses or whatever. But, I don't know, I do feel like they're doing something different, or at least something that they think is different, being, very young and still, and being a bit experimental, even if it doesn't always work, as opposed to someone like Post Malone and, fucking, Justin Bieber, where their experimentalism is filtered through these gigantic production edifices who kind of turn everything into whatever's currently fashionable. Whether it's sort of, if it happens to be minimalism at the time, then they'll make it sound like it's sort of trap or whatever, or like stripped back mumble rap. Whereas with these guys, I more get the impression that this is just what, because that other guy, because they are putting things together with their own machines and that sort of thing, that it just happens to be what they like. But, that might be just my jumping to conclusions here.
Oh, look, maybe nobody wants anything new out of pop music. Maybe they just want a new young performer.
Maybe.
Someone who's new.
A different vibe. But
she's got a bit of a different vibe, but the actual material is pretty similar to what's always been done.
Yeah.
But then again, when someone does try and do something new, i.e. Post Malone, it's garbage as well. So this is all... So maybe I should pay a bit more respect to Billie Eilish, who's doing something that probably has a bit more of a timeless quality, and I mean that in the context of these songs could have come out in 1992 or 2003 or now, and not this song particularly, but some of the other stuff I've heard, and it's sort of probably, if you write a good pop song, maybe that's all you need. But I do hear a lot of these like future of pop music or great new this or great new that, and then when you actually hear the songs, it's like,
well,
I don't know.
I remember Nirvana coming on the radio when after Nevermind had just come out, and my dad and my dad saying, "Oh, is this that band that everyone's talking about?" What? And I said, "Yeah, this is Nirvana." And so I turned it up. I think it was In Bloom, which is a great song, and he was like, "Oh yeah," and and he used to like Led Zeppelin and that sort of thing. But I felt like I could sort of hear him thinking, "Oh, I mean, this is good, but it doesn't sound." It's not like some weird new kind of music that anyone's just invented. Yeah. It's just kind of...
It's not a million miles away from...
It's just sort of punk metal, really.
Yeah, but I think that was it, though, wasn't it? Somehow the grunge became the main big stream thing. But yeah, musically it wasn't too different.
People were talking about it as though they reinvented
The wheel, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded a bit different from Poison, but not if you played it to my mum, in which case it would just sound like two young men who were going to do themselves some serious damage if they kept yelling like that.
Exactly. Look, Billie Eilish was also homeschooled, so maybe there's some correlation
I was gonna joke about that,
between homeschooling and writing a hit. Perhaps there's that. Maybe there is some sort of thing.
How does she feel about sexual abstinence?
Oh, I'm not sure about that, but I guess having no friends allows you time to work on the music, perhaps.
That's
so
true.
Maybe that sort of homeschooling type thing. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure about whether she had the purity ring, whether she dicked anyone. I don't know that.
I just assumed she lived in a share house because she looks like she's been letting people dye her hair when she's pissed.
Yep.
But, I guess that's kind of the look.
Absolutely. Now, this is one of the singles from the album, When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go?
Okay.
Sounds like a smart album title if you're a fucking moron, doesn't it? I think, sort of, it's very thought-provoking. When we fall asleep, where do we go? Well, we don't go anywhere in a physical state, but in an emotional state or in a mental state, you can go wherever you want, Tom. It's called dreaming, and you can do whatever you please. So it's a very deep album, but it also means nothing.
It's a bit like that song, that album Be Not Nobody, written by that chick who wrote that one about walking home. The piano song. If I could fall into the sky. What's her face? Yeah. And it's just like, you just have to go, well, look, just some things sound profound when you're 19,
Yeah.
Occasionally they turn it, if you have real talent, then some of them will turn out to stand up, but at the other end you are still 19 ultimately, and where do we go when we fall asleep?
Exactly right.
Thing, but yeah, like I would say, I feel like her lyrics are kind of above the usual sort of stuff, or at least it feels
Vanessa
like
Carlton or this.
Oh, both.
Yeah, of course.
They feel like they have a voice of some sort, whether it's at least it sort of doesn't sound like it was written by a committee of 12 people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the songwriting, I'm not sure whether it's just her and her brother or whether there's other people involved, but certainly, it sounds like that she doesn't have like 27 people as writing credits on every single song. So, absolutely. What else you got to say about this, Tom?
Well, if you forgive me, I'm going to talk about traffic lights for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, great.
This song contains a sample from Australian traffic lights, which is the walk signal. I should have actually brought that up so I can play it. Let me just give
What do you mean?
a second.
What do you mean by that? They've sampled...
They've sampled the walk signal used in Australian traffic lights.
Okay.
Okay, hang on.
You mean you're saying at the traffic light it changes
you press
allowing
the
you to
button
walk?
and it provides a audio sound of a cue as to when. Jesus fucking Christ! It's not this. This is an ad for sun grain, long grain rice. Hang on. Sounds like this while you're waiting to cross. And then it does that to
So
turn
they've
you to
sampled
cross.
that and turned it into a song.
They have sampled that to turn it into a song, yes.
And here I was saying that she wasn't pushing the boundaries, Tom. Clearly I was wrong.
That all that stuff is basically made by pieces of metal inside that case.
Yep.
An ingenious built-in microphone allows the button to detect the background noise surrounding the crossing and then produce a beat based on how loud it is, which means that pedestrians can always hear it over the traffic, but it's not so loud that it disturbs neighbours at 3 a.m.
Cool.
The PB/5, as it's officially known, has been seen on the streets of Australia since 1984 and has been picked up by other countries such as Singapore, Ireland and the US.
Fantastic.
The button has been so widely acclaimed because it also works for vision and hearing impaired pedestrians with the use of a vibrating touch panel on the front of the case. The sound inside is made by a 2-rhythm buzzer, and the button is cleverly detached from the mechanism inside. It just floats there, so it just detects it through electromagnetism, which means that you can hit it with a sledgehammer and it'll still work. Devotes the work of industrial designer David Wood, acoustical engineer Louis Chalice, who worked on Parliament House and the Sydney Olympic Stadium, and engineer Frank Holscher. In case you're not from Australia or Ireland and you're thinking, how funky could a walk button sound? Well, Billie Eilish wasn't the first artist to sample the PB/5. In 1993, Orbital used it in the track Walk Now. In 1996, the Propellerheads used it in the track Lethal Cut. And in 1999, Basement Jaxx used it in the Jaxx Club mix of Red Alert. All of those songs also included my favourite part, which is that pew bit at the start of the dippy bit, which makes it sound like a breakdown. Phineas Eilish here just took the dippy bit and slowed it down, which makes it harder to detect in the song, which is why it's not immediately obvious. Still, it shows that a new generations of artists are being influenced to craft beauty from the industrial world around them in the form of stop signs.
Absolutely.
What sounds would you think, you could take from the world and fold into your next Art of Seduction track, do you reckon?
Certainly Melbourne trams, when someone runs out across the front of the tram and they just go ding, 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 ding. That, I reckon you could get into a good song. That's good. The incredibly loud screeching when they go around a corner. Yeah, possibly absolutely. Use that in a black metal song. Yeah, for sure. Screeching of death wraiths coming to kill you or something. Yeah, I think... that's right. Our environment around us, there's so much that we can take from that and use. And, I didn't realise that Billie Eilish was one of the leading industrial artists of today, because it sounds like that's sort of one of her main sort of... she could be from sort of the steelworks of, from Birmingham or something like that, or Sheffield. Or
one of your experimental Einstein Neubauten type, European industrial... reactionaries. But exactly. Yeah. Look, as my TikTok fam already know, I've created an entire album based around the PlayStation 1 startup noise.
Oh, good.
Using vocal samples from those automatic public toilets, saying you've got 5 minutes to take a shit or they'll turn the sprinklers on.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Look, regarding this song, Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell, that's her middle name is Pirate, said, I quote, bad guys basically making fun of everyone and their personas of themselves, even mine. The initial idea for the song is like people who have to tell everybody that they're a certain way all the time. They're not that certain way. In general, I feel like you'll never catch a bad bitch telling everyone she's a bad bitch. If you're going around all the time saying, yeah, I'm bad, I'm always breaking rules and doing this and doing that, you're probably not. I know that because I used to say that and I wasn't. Bad kids, bad boys, bad bitches, whatever, they do that shit and they don't even know.
Wow. That's good.
I think if Donald Trump demonstrated anything, it was the truth behind the fact that, geniuses don't brag about their intelligence, hard nuts don't show off their strength, the wealthy don't boast about their bank accounts, and people whose brains aren't a shriveled sponge made of coke holes don't need to brag about how they passed a brain injury competence test with the best results the scientific community had ever seen. None of which probably actually happened. Yeah. I mean, getting into that. So the lyrics are things like, so you're a tough guy, like it really rough guy, just can't get enough guy, chest always so puffed guy, I'm that bad type, make your mama sad type, make your girlfriend mad type, might seduce your dad type, I'm the bad guy, duh. I don't know why, but that duh always gets me. I don't know why. She says it at the end of every verse, just says duh. I don't know, it makes sense, but it fits perfectly. It's like the pedal cars in the video. They don't really make sense, but it just works.
Absolutely.
That's my opinion.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, it just, I guess that's kind of the thing, like you say, it does not change in the world, but there's something to be said for just coming at things with a sense of, newness, at least. And going, oh, that traffic light sounds red, I'm going to use that in song, instead of Googling, has anyone else used this traffic light in a song 3 times already? Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully she uses that creativity again at some stage in the future, because she certainly refrained from doing that in any song I've heard of her since. But look, we can hope. We can only hope. 52 million listeners on Spotify. The cheapest version of this I could find, $48. So there you go. Boom. Crazy days. All right, Tom. Up next.
Yeah, what have we got?
It is Lil Nas X. Old Town Road
Wow.
for 13 weeks.
Now, in a normal year, that would be a ridiculously massive song.
Oh.
That's a quarter of a fucking year. You know?
Absolutely. This would be as big as it gets in any given year. But as we find out later on, I think it might be superseded by something else, Tom.
Just to quickly, that reminds me, I forgot to ask before, but did you get a chance to listen to Old Brown Chode, that song parody I see? I'm taking that on a tour of rural bowling clubs as part of my lifelong attempt to become the new Rodney Roode.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've not. But look, I'll check it out when I get home, I think it all sounds good.
It's going pretty well at the start, really hampered only by a complete lack of musical talent and Southern Cross tattoo.
Absolutely. Look, I'll tell you what, Tom. Just when you thought hip-hop was dead, Little Nas X steps up to the plate and breathes some new life into the genre.
Sure,
now,
you could even substitute the word country for the word hip-hop.
Exactly
make the
right.
same argument.
Exactly. I mean, as I was going to say, like, this was number one for an initial run of 4 weeks, I believe it was.
Yep.
Then there was a break for a bit, and then people realised they hadn't had enough of this, and it came back for an additional 9 weeks at number one. There was a remix which featured Billy Ray Cyrus,
Yes.
who most people will know as Miley Cyrus's dad, and will be thinking, I'm glad he's followed in his daughter's footsteps and turned his mind to music. But I guess what happened was some people suggested that the original wasn't country enough.
Yes, yeah.
So it couldn't get on the country charts, and Little Nas X said, this is as country as it gets. So
Weirdly, it was on the country charts,
Yep.
and then they took it off.
Oh, okay.
It's strange.
No, just like, no. So he teamed up with Billy Ray, and I think that was enough to sort of, the remix could project it into that. So it's sort of one of those songs that's, I guess enough hip-hop and enough country to sort of go on both sides of the fence. Look, basically Little Nas X is following in the footsteps of pioneers such as Uncle Kracker, blending country with hip-hop, although I don't think he's molesting people or doing whatever the fuck Uncle Kracker was doing. So some have dubbed this sort of melding of the two genres as hick-hop, while others have dubbed it straight garbage, depending on who you talk to. But
Hip-hop.
Little Nas X, terrible, isn't it? Little Nas X, I guess he's probably produced the first sort of country trap hit,
Yeah.
perhaps?
Yeah. It certainly seems... I mean... Like, even
Rap and country is not... I don't think it's anything new in the sense that people have been blending it poorly for quite some time.
Yes. Like, it's weird to even sort of talk about it because it immediately comes down to the question of, well, how do you define what country even is?
Yeah.
You know, like you were saying, they, hang on. The original, did you listen to the original song? Like the one that he got popular on TikTok? Yeah, so it's very minimal. It's basically just that 9 Inch Nails sample, a beat and the vocal, which is a very low-key, like, trap, you say, vocal, you know. It's not... He's not really rapping, even, and he's not really singing. And it's less than 2 minutes long.
Yeah,
it's like
very
a minute
short,
50.
Very short,
And despite that, the song sort of slowly took off on the Billboard Hot Country chart, somehow, and got to number 19 before the magazine disqualified it from the chart on the grounds that it did not fit the genre. But then the question is, well, what qualifications are they fucking... using, you know? Like,
do they still let Taylor Swift shake it off on the country charts? Or they still do those ones?
And I mean, you know, presumably even to get to number 19 on the Billboard Hot Country chart in America would mean that probably millions of country fans are listening to it, believing it to be country. Like, who are you to tell them that that's not country?
Oh, exactly.
You know, if country and Western fans think it's country, then yeah.
Now, as you mentioned,
the
9 Inch Nails sample, because effectively, what some people might not know is that the beat for this, the background music, the instrumental, was produced by a Dutch record producer named Young Keo.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically put this up online, didn't he?
Yeah,
and
it seems like he basically just makes rap beats and sells them through YouTube. He just says, here, you know, if you're interested, email me and I'll sell you them.
So Lil Nas X picked this up for $30.
It's quite good value.
Tracked this down on the YouTube, $30, and then just recorded his Old Town Road rap bit over the top in an afternoon, I think. He knocked it out in a day. So that's hit making in 2019, Tom. You find someone selling a beat in an online beat store, pay $30 for it, rap about some horses over the top of it, and get it on TikTok, and then you're pretty much done.
Uncleared 9 Inch Nails sample.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good to know that Trent Reznor's probably getting a little bit of cash off the Old Town Road, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did end up clearing the sample, obviously, but I mean, it really is, even the finished one is still basically just that $30 beat, that the guitar sample and his vocal, like it really, and you know, and then in the third version it's got Billy Ray Cyrus, so that to add that crucial fourth part of the puzzle.
Correct.
Could he be one of the new Beatles, Ben?
I think he probably is. Yeah, definitely.
The two black Beatles.
Yep.
And that other guy, Post Malone, that we love so much.
Could be the new Beatles,
I just think it's really interesting. Even that, I found myself thinking, even with this complicatedly, sort of weirdly half-assed yet complex origin story, I still don't really understand how this 1 minute 50 long fucking YouTube fuck around made in a day thing somehow got onto the Billboard Hot Country chart. But
I'm not sure. Enough people must have streamed it, enjoyed it.
In the old days, you used to have a DJ find it on the floor of a studio or something by accident, or some mate of his give him a CD. God knows what happened.
I mean, do you prefer the original or the remix with Billy Ray? Or I'm a big fan of Soul Town Road, released by one of the guys from BTS, Korean boy band, which is obviously also very good.
I think I'll stick with my version of Old Brown Show for the moment. But if anything, it's even more stripped back because it's just me mumbling that I recorded it inside a public toilet on my phone, and it has no samples of anything other than the guy in the stall next to me taking a large dump. And it's only 1 minute 20 seconds, so I've beat him in that area.
Yeah, that's true.
These songs collectively spent 19 weeks at the top spot on the mainstream Billboard charts.
Wow.
Although it never got back on the country charts again. But it did still get played on country radio a lot. So, again, the country and western fans liked it. The ARIAs list this as just Old Town Road, but I'm pretty sure they are listing the Billy Ray remix version.
Yep.
Partly, at least because it's the only one that's got a video. The other ones don't even have a video. So, and then that video won Best Video of the Year at the MTV Awards.
Really?
What did you think?
I mean, he's on a horse, and
the start bit's kind of funny.
Yeah, and
where he sort of shows up in the hood on a horse wearing like brown old person.
True.
Yeah,
because he's travelled through time to the future.
Yes,
somehow they don't really explain that.
No,
but all of a sudden, Lil Nas X, because he's in the 1880s. And then the next thing you know, he's in modern day, and he's in the ghetto, and
Barbershop 3,
and then
all over
people
again.
are trying to and I think he races guy
drag races,
and on his horse. So look, it's good actually. It's not. I mean, it's better than basically all the other video clips.
I quite like
Billy
the short original, like that weird sort of fuck around. Yeah. Somebody asked him why he sampled 9 Inch Nails, and he replied, I didn't even know about the 9 Inch Nails sample at first. After I did find out about it, it was like, wow, so it's rock, country, and hip-hop all in the same room. I am a 9 Inch Nails fan, but I wouldn't say a hardcore fan. I know Closer and I know Hurt. Honestly, it makes me feel great that I was able to put completely different worlds together and make a song that so many people like. Almost everybody who I've shown this song to, even people commenting comments like, hey, I hate this genre and that genre, but I like this song. He also said, this is my first time dabbling into anything country influenced.
Nice.
So, on the one hand, it's easy to roll your eyes at the idea of a guy slapping together a 2-minute song a day using a beat and a sample from two people he knows nothing about, which then gets accidentally popular in a genre he doesn't know anything about either. And if you were a total wanker, you could say that might be called cultural appropriation if the skin colours of the musical styles were reversed. But honestly, I kind of, like we were saying with Billie Eilish, I kind of like that, it's getting harder and harder to do anything new in music. I reckon there's just so much, there's so much more technology, but the genres are gradually filling out with all the possibilities of the chromatic scale and everything, and but when you get sort of jaded about that stuff, I reckon it's cool that even if you can't listen to something brand new, you can still at least listen to something through vicariously through the ears of some young people. At least they're excited about something that they feel like is new. That might be the closest thing.
Is this the future of music, Tom?
Industrial sampling, country, hip hop, possibly.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like, if he can light up a new facet of, a fucking traffic signal walk sign or some tired old cowboy bullshit about riding your horse into town,
yep,
that the other 100 songs before it about the same thing mixed, then I reckon they've earned their spot in the culture, Personally, I'd rather listen to someone getting their mind expanded by a walk signal or by half taking the piss out of Billy Ray Cyrus than another sort of AI-programmed cash-in, post-punk boy band being #rebellious or the next fucking mumble rap nugget to fall out of Drake's ass.
Exactly, yeah. No, I agree. But if we do take one step back...
Sure.
This is effectively Cotton Eye Joe, isn't it?
Well,
is basically
sure.
Cotton Eye Joe,
a
but
weird genre mashup.
instead of early
accident.
90s dance, they've just mashed together some country with trap, which is the current mainstream popular part of music. In 1992, everyone wanted to have like some Euro beats on their track. And then around 2019, it's like, we've got to have a trap thing in there. So,
yeah. And it seems like this was made with a sense of humour, but then again, so does Cotton Eye Joe.
Definitely.
Those rednecks, they had a sense of humour.
Absolutely.
You could tell because they spelled rednecks with an X.
Yep. But what can you tell me about Lil Nas X himself? Because we've spoken about the song, but we haven't really spoken much about him.
Well, I've got to admit...
do you know much about him?
I don't really know much about him.
I read that... what I read was that...
he's young, too.
I think he was sleeping on his sister's couch.
Oh, okay.
And she was like, yo, you got to get the fuck out of here. I think he'd dropped out of college. I think he was either attending college, but sort of like not super into it, or he'd dropped out. Sleeping on his sister's couch, pretty kind of aimless, like wanted to pursue music, but sort of hadn't really, done much. And I think she was like, yo, you've been on my couch for too long, you sort of got to get the fuck out of here. Buys the beat, gets the song done, uploads it, and then fast forward, a few months later, and he's the biggest thing in music at that time. So credit where credit's due. Like, if you're unable to do your own beats, at least he had the foresight to find the beat and go, yo, I think I can do something with this, which he did, and then, he took a $30 beat that he bought online and turned it into a massive song. In any year, it'd probably be the biggest song of the year. But, credit where credit's due on that
massive.
front.
It made his career, they put him in the position he is now, where he's like the first sort of openly gay mainstream rapper. He does he performs at the fucking Super Bowl, he's got his new videos are like cultural events and shit like that.
Exactly.
Like you say, I mean...
I think he did did he do a... Sorry, I'm going to get my video games mixed up here. He did a massive concert either in... did he do a Fortnite concert or like a Minecraft one?
Yeah,
he performed in one of those, I think, where
very
there was had
things.
like millions of people watching it or something like that. So obviously he, at that time, it was like everyone wanted to see Lil Nas X perform live in fucking Minecraft or some shit.
Maybe he didn't perform at the Super Bowl. It might have been... They might have played his new video at the Super Bowl.
Look, anyway, he went from basically getting kicked off a couch to being very successful.
I mean, you could say, again, going back to the sort of Billie Eilish kind of thing as well, like the way the world is now, at least... when you're young and you have nothing, you at least have this sort of almost limitless possibility of shit to steal from and, mash together in whatever way you want. And until you get famous, it's all free because you can just steal it. You know,
Oh,
you don't
of
have.
course,
You can
yeah.
worry about the legal stuff later on
Yeah.
when you get. You know, when you get to
Yeah.
number 19 on the commercial charts, and you're like, should I call up these 9-inch nails that somebody mentioned that I got this off the.
I think for me though, Tom, the main thing is that Lil Nas X is sort of inspirational in the sense that I always feel that if my life goes severely off the rails,
You're sleeping on the couch.
I'm
at
sleeping
your
on my
sister's house.
sister's couch, and she's like, "You got to get the fuck out of here. You can't stay on the couch forever." Yeah, at least I know that all I need to do, go on YouTube,
Yep,
find a beat,
$30.
make sure I've got $30 in the bank account.
That's right.
You can piss it all away and buy drugs, etc. Get crazy, but make sure there's always at least $30 in that account so you can get that beat. Just rap over the top of it, upload it to TikTok, and boom,
That's right.
fame and fortune's coming your way. So it's good to know that you've always got that, in the back pocket just in case things go bad.
That's why I always keep a couple of copies of Ugly Kid Joe, America's Least Wanted, under my bed at any time, because I know that then I've always got $30 worth of resale value.
That's
30 Australian
That's
dollars
true.
worth of resale value that I can
you can
exchange
take to Cunningham's.
for a YouTube beat from
Exactly.
some twat from Scandinavia
Exactly
made up in
right.
10 seconds on his.
Well, he's from the Netherlands, Tom.
Netherlands.
It's okay.
Sorry,
it's fine.
sorry,
It's okay.
you're right.
It's okay. I don't want to, falsely get the country wrong for young Keo, because I can't imagine. I mean, what's the young Keo story? Is he after Old Town Road? Is he like basically the new David Guetta now, just DJing parties and shit, or is it just like he's still just cranking out $30 beats? And
I honestly couldn't find much about
No,
him.
neither could
like
I,
you say,
so-
the only thing I could figure out for him was that he's really young, and that, as you say, he's from the Netherlands, and he basically just makes his own beats and heard them on
Does he
YouTube.
get a songwriting credit on this? You'd have to say
he
does.
Yeah, he
Well,
does.
there you go.
He
Probably
said
made heaps of cash.
he heard it later on. It was one of those ones where he sold this thing for $30, and then later on he heard it on the radio, thinking, "Hang on, does that sound vaguely
He's in the
familiar?"
IGA or something getting eggs, and he's like, "Fucking hell, wait on."
Because
So-
by that, he probably didn't even know who he sold it to. Like, so he's not
Yeah.
going to go, "Oh, Lil Nas X, that was that guy," because
Yeah.
he's just sold it to some random guy on the internet.
But the songwriting credits would be also split between Lil Nas X, Trent Reznor, some other fucking whoever.
Trent Reznor and the other guy from Atticus Ross.
Yeah, okay.
Atticus
But look,
Ross.
even if young Keo gets like 1/10 of the revenue that
Well,
came in
for
from
sure.
this, he's obviously doing all right. So he's
sure.
made more than the $30. So what sort of? Because obviously there's the country element to the music, but Lil Nas X's lyrical spin. What sort of picture did he paint for us, Tom?
Well, look, I don't know if this is country music or not. I know even less about country than I do about hip-hop. But Lil Nas certainly picked up on the never more popular modern country technique of audience pandering through lyrics. Riding on a tractor, lean all in my bladder, as in lean, that scissor. Cheated on my baby, you can go and ask her. My life is a movie, bull riding and boobies. Cowboy hat from Gucci, Wrangler on my booty. Most people off the top of their head would probably say that the chorus is "Gonna take my horse to the old town road," etc. But it's actually, the actual chorus is just him drooling, "Can't nobody tell me nothing," which I find weirdly appealing, especially in the really stripped down.
Yeah.
It's so dry. The original delivery is just so dry and unaffected. It sounds like he's on the spectrum or something, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I reckon it works really well in contrast to the verse about being rich and the other verse, which is about being poor. There's one verse about being rich and one about being poor.
Yeah.
It's probably the most old school country sounding bit in the song for me. The rest of it just sounds like some shit he made up for a laugh. But that sort of, that "Can't nobody tell me nothing" just has this kind of authentic, I don't give a fuck sort of thing to it. Yeah, or maybe that comes from him, as you say,
Sleeping on a
when he
couch.
wrote it, sleeping on a couch, not having anything. Just
Absolutely.
It's also young too. It's a youthful attitude that nobody can tell me anything. I know everything already. And he sounds like he kind of finds it amusing at the same time. Which is,
Do you think if young Keo was asking, say, $40 for the beat, Do you
You're
think
like,
Little Nas X
fucking
is
hell.
like, I don't...
That's too much.
I can't go that extra 10, and we might not ever have had this song. So young Keo the price point is perfect. He's priced his product at exactly the right amount. Because if he'd priced it at say $5, then some other fuckwit like say Post Malone might have bought it, and then we would have had him going over the top. So. Or Crazy Town might have picked it up and sort of done something with it. But, it was at that sort of price point where not just any dick can get it,
No.
but it's not so much that someone like Lil Nas X can buy it. So, look, Tom, I'm gonna check out some of Young Keo's work, and I reckon we should buy a Young Keo beat and see what we can do with it.
I could just about afford $30.
Yeah, look, I reckon I'll put 30 aside. So if it's 30 US, that's probably about 200 Australian dollars these days. I don't think the exchange rate's too favourable.
No.
But look, have you got anything else to say about this track?
I was just going to check to see if it was actually credited to Young Keo or not, or whether he just got... Because that's the difference between whether he got $30 or
Because in terms of
$3 million.
songwriting, I mean, it's made up of samples, but if you've constructed those samples into a new thing, then you should get a songwriting credit, surely.
I would have thought if you're buying something off YouTube, then it might just come down to a question of whether or not that person's ticked the royalties button or not, like whether you have to pay, because he probably wasn't thinking, this is going to become a massive worldwide hit. But
because you look at something like the Avalanches, they've got they might have a song that has like 100 samples in it. But there's 100 songwriters on there, but you can't say that they shouldn't get anything out of that.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, they've fashioned all of these things together into... I mean, I feel a bit bad for those guys because they've literally created something completely brand new out of just real small bits of stuff.
But if you had to pay them too much, then there'd be no way to make an Avalanches album because it would just... Yeah, if it's like,
I've got these royalties, I've got to split them like 8,000 ways. So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the answer is that he did get...
That's good. Good to see. Hopefully, I hope he's got a yacht somewhere and he's just fucking on there hanging out and just cranking beats out for $30 and keeping it real. So.
Sure. All right.
35 million listeners for Lil Nas X.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So he's gone from 0 to 35 mil in like about 3 years. So good on him for that. Cheapest copy of this I could find was $83. So
fucking
there you
hell.
go. So save your pennies, Lil Nas X fans, if you want a physical copy of Old Town Road, and who wouldn't? So coming up next, Tom, is I think just for 1 week. Is
just
that right?
1 week. 20th
It is.
May.
Oh, it's Ed Sheeran fucking back again, and Justin Bieber with I Don't Care. Now, Tom, two of your favourite artists teaming up. Expectations must have been sky fucking high at your house. Question is, did they deliver?
Well, first off, I mean, look at that title, I Don't Care, by Ed Sheeran and Bieber. That's a level of title/reaction synergy that I haven't felt since the Black Eyed Peas triple play of Shut Up, Take It Off, and Something for That Ass, which are 3 real songs by the Black Eyed Peas. But,
is it they don't care about songwriting anymore, or is it have they specified what they don't care about?
Well, this is like the 3rd or possibly 4th time that they've joined up. It might be the 4th time that they've joined up, 3rd time at number 1 that we've discussed.
Yep.
But yeah, speaking of pandering, this is another sort of low-energy pop dance hall wibbly thing from the Sheeran Bieber 2-man-child supergroup nobody asked for.
Yep.
He's not even playing guitar anymore in this, Ben.
No.
He's given that up. Half the lyrics are boot, ba, boot, ba, boot, boot, boo. Like, this is what I mean. Like, you compare this to Billie Eilish with Bad Guy. They have a ostensibly similarly sort of stripped back minimal thing, but Bad Guy is full of weird little, like it's not the craziest song in the world. It's not like experimental glitch techno or fucking high speed technical death or something, but it's got oddnesses to it. Whereas this is just, there's nothing unpredictable in this entire song. It's just, yeah.
No, I completely agree, Tom. Now, look, what you'll see about this song is that this is the first single released off the number 6 Collaborations Project album.
Ah, yes.
Ed Sheeran's
He
album.
ran out of math symbols to name his fucking albums after, so this one's...
and there are another 7 singles released off this
Oh,
album.
Christ. Are they all collaborations? Is that
They
the
are.
theme?
So it's the numbers. So the whole album is a collaborations project.
Yep.
So 7 singles released off this, which for many was far worse than the global pandemic that was to follow the next year, having to suffer through 8 singles off this album. I sure hope there weren't 5 other of these collaboration projects. Now, you know what collaboration is, Tom? For Sheeran, what I think he's done is he's thought of every person who's had a hit in the last 3 years. Then he's employed a Will.I.am A-being. Ripping off that artist's style in the form of a new song and then getting them to sing on it in the hopes of generating more cash of hits he's co-written. So that's what I think the whole project is basically that. Bieber's popular, I'll A-B a Bieber song and then just copy that and then get him to sing on it. Then I'll A-B a fucking Cardi B song and she can come and pop on that. So.
Is he just fucking at this point doing that for Ed Sheeran? When you look at his past legal history, it's not just like Icarus flying too close to the sun.
No.
It's like Icarus opening up flying too close to the sun airlines, 3 flights a day every day of the week.
Yeah.
And taking out massive loans to fund his new getting really close to the sun airlines that he's planning to make a profit of.
I think it's effectively Icarus opening a timeshare on the sun, I think, Tom. He's moved into it. He's moved into the sun.
Using an exclusively wax-based building technique that he's thought up.
For sure.
Yeah, I just don't know how many times he's already been sued by people for ripping off their fucking songs.
Yeah, but I guess what he's done here is he's like, well, he gets them on board to
You're
team
ripping
up
off
to them
each
and sort
other,
of-
and then it's a mutually masturbatory exercise. And as we know from the previous ones, Justin Bieber has a weird affection for any old shit that he finds in the wastepaper bin underneath Ed Sheeran's desk, and
Absolutely right, absolutely. So look, certainly that's what this sort of project is. So him just doing a bit of duet where it sort of sounds exactly like the person he's duetting with. Look, in a few years, this will be one of those albums where people look back at and sort of say, "Oh, look who was big in 2019." One of those type albums. Oh, okay. There'll be some people that will continue on and sort of still be quite popular. People will be like going, "Oh yeah, he was on that Ed Sheeran thing. He's still popular now." Then there'll be other people who are like, "Who in the living fuck is that?" There might be a few people in prison, the way that the world is going these days, Tom, with cancel culture on pedophiles.
God.
So, but look, I will say this. For every filter plus the crystal method, you get a stabbing Westwood and wink. That's a Spawn soundtrack reference for those unfamiliar with that. And the Spawn soundtrack was one that explored the concept of teaming up a new metal heavy rock band with an electronic artist popular at the time with, let's be kind and say, mixed results, I think some may say.
It was no Judgment Night.
There was no Judgment Night, exactly.
Judgment Night was about 5 to 8 years ahead of its time.
It was, correct.
Basically invented new metal.
Exactly. Mixing the hip-hop with the hard rock, I believe. That's going to be that. So people will look back in 5 years' time and say, in 5 years' time people will probably look back and sort of say, oh yeah, Cardi B is a bigger artist than Yebba. But we don't know. We don't know that for sure. Perhaps the tides will turn, and we'll look at the sort of that collaboration number 6 project sort of track list and go, oh wow, this is where Yebba got her start. She's fucking massive now.
I think it's more likely that people will look back and go, I wish I was listening to the Spawn soundtrack.
Oh, absolutely.
Instead of this, because it's way better.
Do you trip like I do?
Oh.
I believe that might be filter plus the crystal method. So yeah.
Hey, that's got one good line in it. That song. I've got the patience of a chopping block. That's a good song. Good. It's better than any line in this fucking song, which is mostly, as I said, boot, ba-boot, ba-boot.
I think even Silverchair teamed up with someone on that one.
They're on there.
Spawn soundtrack. Yeah, good times.
Korn are on there, I'm pretty sure.
Or the who's who of new metal. Now, interestingly, Tom, did you watch the music video for this?
I did. I was going to ask you what you thought of it.
Well, weirdly, the music video, it looks like it's deliberately shit-looking green screen action.
Sort of affectedly kind of twee, fake indie kind of,
Which is kind of wild, because in just a few months, once COVID hit, all videos would look like that, or be shot over Zoom. It was all like shitty, I'm in my apartment with a green screen.
Yeah.
So either Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber sort of, preempted that, or... maybe, just maybe, Tom, Ed Sheeran or Justin Bieber, or both, are from the future. That would explain how Ed Sheeran has so many hits. He A-B's some bullshit from his time and then travels back in time and releases it, which explains all the lawsuits as well. So, because why would they release a real shitty sort of COVID-era green screen video 3 months before COVID hit?
Wow, this is an interesting idea. So you're saying that perhaps there's a very talented, or at least moderately talented artist that existed in a parallel universe to ours, but in this other universe there's Ed Sheeran, and he's figured out how to travel back through time or into alternate dimensions, and he just happens to like this artist, so he's covering this artist, and then releasing his own extremely crap cover versions as the original, but there's just enough of the original artist's actual talent to make them still popular. So buried underneath is this sort of skeleton of an original catchy idea, which he's then sort of crapped all over with his half-assed busker noodlings.
Correct, yeah.
Yes.
Effectively that. Ed Sheeran's from like 2025. He just looks back in time and says, oh, that was popular, then writes it, A-B's it, does a Will.i.am, A-B's it, travels back in time and releases it, and then everyone's like, oh, it's the future of music.
And each time
and then he slipped up. He slipped up because he's done the green screen COVID video, but he's released it a few months too early. That's what he's done, so that's one.
And somewhere in a bedroom there's this really frustrated guy who's actually got a bit of talent, and every time the new Ed Sheeran song comes out, he just goes, oh, he's done it again. I was just working on a song about a girl from Ireland.
Oh, I know exactly right.
I was going to get a tattoo of it, and this cunt's come along and just copied the same idea. How does he keep doing it?
I hope he doesn't. I got mine spelt wrong. I hope he doesn't copy it to that detail.
God damn it.
Anyway, so that's one theory. I'll throw it out there, Tom. There's others, obviously,
of
course.
Far more interesting than the actual real thing.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I think this is mostly just some 15-year-old sort of Michelle Gondry shit with a bit of Adult Swim animation chucked over a lot of fake bad green screen.
Yeah.
I think the thing that gave me the shits about it most is that you basically got two unfathomably rich rock stars pretending not just to be like normal guys, but the sort of introverted nerds that have trouble at parties.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, like outside of skin colour, this is nerd cultural appropriation, and it makes me pissed off on behalf of anxiety-prone introverts, including occasionally me, who legitimately struggle in social situations and are expected to tough it out without $100 million and that chick from the Pussycat Dolls to go home to.
Yeah.
All we ask in return is to take a dump on Ed Sheeran's windscreen, Ben. Is that really so much to ask?
Well, I think that's fine, Tom.
You know, maybe push a bit up under the door handle so he doesn't know it's up there. You know?
Yeah, Justin might have a tough time in social situations though, Tom, because he's got that thing now where when he his eye, you know, when he talks, his eye closes. He's got that disease now.
Oh, I didn't know.
His eye he can't help, like something's gone wrong with the nerves in his face.
Oh, that's a shame.
So when he tries to talk, his eye involuntarily closes. So yeah.
I was going to ask, you know, did this sort of lo-fi analog made it at home on my computer video help you to sort of identify with the struggles of a bowling ball headed blood nut and a bottle blonde twink, you know, getting on with chicks at parties? But now I find out one of them's got a, you know, eye twitch disease, then I feel slightly bad about saying that. I think he'll be alright somehow.
Oh, he'll be fine. He's married to like a model or something, so
sure. Okay. He's got a touch of the homeschooled abstinence ring about him as well, that
he
guy,
does,
for all his fucking tats and shit.
I mean, I think we've all seen him. I haven't. I've not been there, but I've heard that he, hangs out with the old Hillsong crew.
Yeah,
so
one of those pastors who wore $600 sneakers until he got investigated for yawn sexual abuse.
Exactly.
Being a massive misogynist.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. That dude. It was all about no sex before marriage. Oh, except for me.
Yes. Yeah. And as we know from your thorough journalistic investigation into his career, pretty much the hardcorest, most rock and roll thing that that Bieber ever did was toilet paper someone's house for yelling at him for being
exactly
a dickhead.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, that's pretty Christian as far as I know.
Now, Tom, do the lyrics get into precisely what Ed and Justin don't care about? Because they clearly don't care.
Well,
they're rebels. They've never cared. They don't care what people think. They don't care about the music industry. They don't care about public opinion.
Yes.
They don't care. They're just two free-spirited individuals producing music for the masses and just having a great time. And they don't care, Tom. Is that what the lyrics tell us?
Well, you'd think so, because that's exactly the sort of shit that they normally write.
Yeah.
But in this one instance, for reasons unknown to anybody, they've decided to, instead of I don't care about, TPing my neighbour's house, or I don't care about picking up chicks in the club.
Or I don't care about copyright infringement, it being sort of Ed Sheeran's sort
exactly.
of...
Yep, I don't care about looking like a 40-year-old lesbian at the age of 19. That what they don't care about in this is that they go to parties, oh, I'm awkward, I'm all green-screened and don't have any money. And now that but when I meet you, then I don't care. I don't care about the cruel glares of all these weird people around me, because I'm not famous. Remember, I am just like you. I'm just a normal person.
Yep.
I mean, speaking of conveyor belts, this is another neatly boxed audio cube from Max Martin's Music Factory.
Oh, Jesus.
Although he's now got Shellback on the levers and Fred Gibson inspecting the assembly line, while Max can safely step into the executive toilets with a copy of White Hot Volvos for a quick wank. And together, these 5 adult men, plus another guy called Pooh Bear, real name Pooh McGillicuddy, managed to astonish the world with lyrics such as, I'm at a party I don't want to be at, and I don't ever wear a suit and tie, wondering if I could sneak out the back, nobody's even looking me in the eyes, then you take my hand, finish my drink, say, shall we dance? Hell yeah. So this is clearly a multi-millionaire extrovert's idea of what being shy might be like, which he captures as well as he captures most emotions, e.g. with the brittle predictability of that translucent cellophane flap inside a $2 op shop photo album. He's also maybe the last guy on the charts still unironically writing choruses like, I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah.
Oh,
ooh,
Jesus
ooh,
Christ.
ooh, 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 oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So, it's good to see Cliff Richard still on the charts, 2023.
Oh, yeah. Those sorts of lyrics are, it's just sort of like, I'll be fine if I'm with you. It's like, I don't have a job. We're living in it. We're living. We're living in a skip.
Yep.
And I'm eating rats.
Yeah, it's dodgy enough
rats,
when it comes
I'll
from.
be fine when I'm with you.
Yeah, it's dodgy enough when it comes from an actual 19-year-old sleeping on his sister's couch. When it comes from a fucking multi-millionaire, oh, God.
Now, Tom, I've got a proposition for Justin Bieber,
Sure.
if he's listening. Now, he's married to one of the Baldwin girls, I believe. Haley
Baldwin. Yes.
Haley Baldwin.
Some sort of Instagram model or supermodel. Of
Now,
some
her father is Stephen Baldwin.
Sure.
Could we get a family sort of, and I think Stephen would approve of this given that Justin Bieber's effectively his son now, could we get Justin Bieber to star in a remake of Biodome with him doing the soundtrack as well, do you think? Is that something we could get happening?
I'm saying greenlit. You've got $1 million right off the bat for that idea.
Straight off
It's
the bat.
amazing no one's done it.
It's a Biodome remake. You got Justin Bieber in the role.
Who's the other guy, though?
Ed Sheeran.
Oh,
Ed and Justin in the
and
Biodome.
Justin.
Then you've got, and Justin's father-in-law can advise him on, the role and say, here's what I was thinking, here's my creative process, this is what you should do.
Isn't he also a crazy Christian?
I think he's insane, yeah, which is
so he can
great,
they can be leading each other in prayer behind the scenes too.
for sure. So I think that's something that I'd like to see in the not too distant future.
I
So
would like Ed Sheeran in that film to be played by that puppet of him from that music video, because the puppet was significantly less annoying than the real puppet. Not to mention, as we discussed, physically more attractive somehow than the real.
I'd go to see Ed Sheeran live if I knew that it was the puppet performing all the songs.
That's right.
I think I would pay money for that.
And with puppeteers on stage, there might be some actual, technical craftsmanship going into his fucking performances.
Exactly. So look, Ed Sheeran, 82 million listeners. Justin Bieber, 75 million listeners now. This is insane, Tom. There's only one copy of this CD single for sale on Discogs, and it will cost you $243.
Wow.
So, is that the highest we've had? Maybe it is, I'm not sure.
I mean, unless they printed 3 of them, truly...
Only out of Japan, I think, so it's crazy. Anyway, you got anything more to say about this?
Maybe Japan's the only people left still playing CDs.
I think they are. I think Sony have convinced the government. They've forced everyone to have a CD player. It's like, dude...
The economy will crash if
people don't keep buying CD players, we're fucking done. So... Every household must have a CD player and a PlayStation 5, I think.
They did love CDs. There was like 5 years when they would release music videos on just the CD video format, which never even happened over here. You could buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew they were onto a good thing when the first time I walked into a used bookshop in Japan, and I went to the upstairs bit, and basically it was like walking into sort of a library, but of just laser discs. It was shelves of just used laser discs, and I was like, okay, we're onto something here. Obviously,
they are
so
a country of early adopters.
Certainly. So they just loved, that sort of going out and buying music videos on things the size of an LP.
You know what I saw on the internet today? I saw a 1980s Sharp cassette Walkman that had a television in the top of it.
Shit.
It's fucking sick.
Cassette Walkman with a TV in there. It's fucking
What's
awesome.
not to like?
It's fantastic.
It's a slight problem that no one uses cassettes anymore, and there aren't any analog TV stations anymore.
But look, it's fine. You can, I'm sure.
Also, to get it to work, you had to look into it at that angle that your broken laptop had previously, where you basically got it.
It didn't open more than like 25 degrees. Yeah.
And every time you turn it by 0.5 of a degree, the aerial goes out of range, so then it can't. But yeah, still, I take my hat off.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. So after that, Tom, after I Don't Care, it was 9 more weeks of Lil Nas X, as we spoke about previously. And then we're into Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello, Senorita.
Only 1 week.
For a single week, yeah, exactly. Now, this is the old... A couple records a single to monetize their relationship before it inevitably explodes single, Tom.
I didn't know this.
So, yeah, old Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello were in a relationship. Well, I'll say purportedly in a relationship, because it was claimed that their relationship was faked for publicity to try and, push this song a little bit further. But it raises a good question. Why anyone would give a flying fuck that these two people are in a relationship is anyone's guess. Better fake a relationship.
Yeah.
Who cares? If they'd released, if their relationship was fake, they should have doubled down and released a fake sex tape, I'd say. So,
well, I mean, plenty of people did.
They certainly have done that as well.
I see what you mean. It's sort of oddly paradoxical. Like, if you're insufficiently famous to require a fake relationship to push your single, then the fake relationship would be of not enough interest to push said single.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're famous enough for people to care about it, then you probably don't need to pretend to be in a fucking relationship.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder how many of these relationships are fake, especially when you get into anybody that's involved in social media I just assume that their relationships aren't real at this
Yeah,
point.
I'm going to say, for example, 100% of Tom Cruise's relationships have been fake.
How dare you?
But yeah,
the Church of Scientology are very real. And
that's true. I shouldn't.
Well, David miscarried. He loves his wife so much that he keeps her in a dungeon and doesn't let her see daylight.
No, exactly. She's not been seen for a while, so but that's just to protect her from the
that's
outside
right.
world.
And suppressive persons,
Yeah, definitely. Now, Tom, you love some Latino flair in your songs, don't you? You would love this. A little bit of stuff.
I mean, I used to not hate it, and then a certain thing called Miami bass came along, and
yeah. Look, Shawn Mendes, he's from Canada.
Yeah,
his dad is Portuguese. So if his Portuguese dad has some relatives in Brazil,
yeah,
or another part of South America, I guess that counts, does it?
Yeah. Not
really.
And
yeah, probably not.
It counts.
And Camilla's from Cuba, is that right?
I think so, yeah. We talked about that. This is her second visit to the top after her song Havana in 2017. But yeah, she lived most of her life in America. They came over when she was a little girl.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And... yeah,
so he doesn't qualify as a Latino flair type dude. I wouldn't have thought. So.
I mean, I'm not a person who cares about cultural appropriation that much. Call me Generation X unreconstructed.
I couldn't give a fuck either.
But I do think there is something just tacky about pretending to do something inauthentic and lame. I mean, at least she has a sort of. I
might just throw in some flamenco guitar and just be like...
and she's got a bit of an accent. Look, I don't know. This is, as you say, this is the pair's second collaboration after their first duet, I Know What You Did Last Summer, which annoyingly has nothing to do with the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer, or, for that matter, the movies I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, or I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, I Wrote Down What You Did Last Summer so I Won't Forget It, or Remind Me What You Did Last Summer Again, I Lost That Piece of Paper. Also, the song doesn't feature either of them getting killed with a meat hook, which I feel is a lost opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you heard that song? I actually prefer that song.
It's better than this.
It's more of a sort of pop rock thing. Yeah,
exactly.
At this point, we've had almost 2 decades of Miami just jizzing neon spoof all over the charts, Ben.
Yeah.
And for me, it's wearing pretty fucking thin. I mean, also, who the fuck wants to live in Florida? Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
getting
romantic about
sounds
like the worst place in the
world. They made a film about
that
called Spring Breakers, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I met a guy once, Tom, a few years ago that said he had a goal. He was from the UK and he said, I want to go to all 50 states of America. Now, I'm not shitting on that. That's fine if that's what you want to do. Definitely,
sure.
I'm sure that each state has its own sort of vibe and culture, and America, it's a mixing pot, isn't it, of all kinds of crazy stuff. So you're probably going to get a bit of a different atmosphere if you're in,
North
say
Dakota,
definitely
South Dakota.
When you're doing that list of 50, Florida's got to be down the bottom, doesn't it, in terms of the last one to tick off. I've done, I'm going to get through 50, but, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could meet Vanilla Ice, that could be cool.
I mean, it's got a sort of cliched reputation for being a shithole full of alligators on meth. The only problem is every single news story that you ever read about it involves exactly that sort of behaviour. Yeah. They also have some of the worst politicians in America, which is a pretty high fucking bar for shitness.
Exactly.
Graft and corruption outside of the third world, and even then they'd be, putting some of them up to the challenge. I mean, I think they're currently banning books about teddy bears because, you can't tell whether the teddy bears have dicks or not.
Exactly. It sounds like a good place and somewhere that I can't wait to visit one day. So.
On the other hand, you might run into the bad boys.
Yeah, that is true. Exactly.
Early Tia Leone, I'd probably, fly across America.
Okay, there's a few advantages, yeah. Mendes has cited John Mayer, Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake, and Bruno Mars as his main influences. So you know that he's going to be fucking garbage. if you've indicated that Ed Sheeran is an influence, you may as well get a T-shirt printed that just says "boring musician" and wear it absolutely everywhere that you go.
Who's the most interesting member of his 5-man influencers team is probably an ex-member of NSYNC, who was initially became famous by going out with Britney Spears.
Yeah. You can look. I mean, I can see Ed Sheeran as someone that's aspirational in the sense that it's like he's got a level of fame that I want to achieve.
Yeah.
So I can understand wanting to get to that fame level, but in terms of influencing your music, I mean, Jesus Christ, it's like I want to write the blandest shit imaginable.
Hey, man, this fits perfectly into your theory about what it is that makes artists suck. Your 3-part, you need an acronym for that. But the thing that a person can be musically talented and they can work really hard, but if they have extremely shit influences,
bad influences,
they're still going to just, at best, they're going to make well-made crap, which is kind of what this is, really. Yeah.
Exactly. So, look, Shawn Mendes is trash. Don't really want to get too much into his work. Cabello, talked about her before because she had a hit the other week. She was a member of Fifth Harmony, Tom.
Yes.
Who I've always considered the poor man's Pussycat Dolls, but that's okay. Now, their biggest hit in Australia was 2016's Work From Home, Tom. Are you familiar with that song?
Work From Home?
They had a song called Work From Home in 2016. Which was a song in which Fifth Harmony expressed their belief that many employees engaged in office-based activities could perform those duties from home, increasing productivity in the process. So certainly ahead of their time. Well, that's what I thought the song was about, but then I watched the music video, and it appears the song actually encourages your partner to call in sick so they can work from home, read Deep Dick, a Fifth Harmony member. So that's what the song was actually about.
To be fair, that does sound significantly more enjoyable than participate in a series of Zoom meetings with people where everyone's taking hearty swigs of tequila just out of camera range, they hope, with their pants off under the desk, which is how I passed 2020. But
exactly. So the song had a little bit of a, unsurprisingly, it was from 2016, but it had a bit of a resurgence in sort of early 2020 when people started working from home because of COVID stuff.
Oh, really?
And it actually had a bit of it did have a double boost up there, people being like, "Oh, work from home, that Fifth Harmony song, haha." And then I watched the video clip a few days ago, and it was pretty much just like them on a building site with buff dudes. Basically saying we can work from home, and then it mentioned between the bed sheets. I figure it wasn't sort of Excel spreadsheets and Teams meeting, but more finger slaying. But that's okay. That's Fifth Harmony's prerogative.
So really, she really is like, she's the Justin Timberlake of Fifth Harmony. She's the one who's done the best out of this. Yeah,
she quit and then went on to do this, which is look, Fifth Harmony.
She's got a good look for the time. She reminds me of Jenny Ortega, who's that other South American actress who's playing Wednesday on that Wednesday Addams, who's currently seems to be in every movie the way some people sometimes want to do. She's really leaning into the sort of cutesy Latina vocal affectations here for someone who hasn't lived in South America for a long time. But it doesn't help that Mendes is a better singer than her, and also that they've dropped some sort of 2001 Britney auto-tune filter over her voice, and frankly, it sounds less like sort of sexual desperation that they're aiming for, and more like a teenage girl griping about being refused entry to the skis lounge just because they've audibly had 6 pre-mixed bundies and their ID says their name is Dr. Gareth Busey. But she's got this, I can't even do it. They've given her this kind of nasal twist to it, and it's just, and also it's the annoying kind of auto-tune where they've used it enough so that you can tell that they're using it, but not enough that it's actually meant to be sort of a artistic choice. It just sounds weird. She just sounds like a weird sex robot.
Oh,
yeah. And they don't do that to her previous song.
No.
Like her previous, that Havana's got a bit of work on it, but she sounds relatively normal. She sounds like J-Lo or something. Whereas here, especially doing a duet with someone doing a normal voice, it just sounds really odd to me.
Yeah, it does. Her vocals, I'd be requesting to go back to the office, Tom, I think, if I had to put up with that sort of
take the fucking day off, I'd say.
Yeah, so look, this song was, I think, written by a group of people, as is usually the case.
Was. Fucking
so, obviously, I think what happened was, I think Mendes and Camilla, they wanted to do a duet together. They were in a relationship, I believe. I'm not sure whether it was before or after this song. And it was, as we know, faked, I believe. So they got together, they discussed doing this. Bit of apprehension, I think, about sort of doing a Latino flair type, whatever the fuck this is, from Mendes' part. But they finally agreed to do it.
Sure.
Mendes recorded his vocals for the song, wrote the lyrics, recorded his vocals, FaceTimed Camilla, and they started working on her parts, the vocal harmonies, what she was going to do, and then she did her vocals. So it was completed. They completed the songs apart, I think, doing that sort of thing, and it was being mixed and ready to go, completely finalised, when Camilla came up with the lyric, "You say we're just friends, but friends don't know the way they taste," which wasn't in the original song.
Ah, okay.
She insisted on that lyric being on the song. It was already being mixed. It was getting ready to be released. And she said, "We've got to get this lyric in there." So then Mendes had to come back in, re-sing his harmonies just for this one line. This raises a couple of questions. That's the shitty pop equivalent of having your boss say at 5:30 on a Friday, "Oh, hey, Tom, can you just do this one thing before you go home tonight?" And you're like going, "Get the fuck out of here."
Not only are they asking you to do one thing at 5:30, but it's a stupid fucking thing.
Yeah, exactly. Now, is that lyric so fucking great that it just has to be in this song? Just put it in another song. Just say, "I love this lyric," just put it in your next song. I mean, you think it would have made it to the number one without that, would it have been a number one song without line? Do you think fans that like the song are listening to it thinking, it's okay, but it'd be good if there was something in there about friends not knowing how they taste?
No.
So, it would have been a hit regardless. So, you say we're just friends, but friends don't know the way they taste. Is that a cannibal reference? Or is that a sucking on a dick reference?
It's a sucking on a dick reference. Yeah. I mean, the sad thing is the lyrics in this are so mundane that probably is the most interesting thing. But, as you say, that's got nothing to do with the success of the song. The success of the song is for one reason, which is just that little catchy salsa bit.
When you call me señorita.
That's it.
And she's quite cute.
That could be sung in Spanish.
Passes. Yeah, exactly.
That would be fine. Yeah, look, the video was nominated for Best Choreography at the MTV Music Awards, which is a bit odd because it doesn't feature any choreography.
Fuck.
It's like a Levi's ad from 2003 and is either about two young poor people in love, a rock star coming from overseas and banging a hotel maid, which is a bit weird. Given that the hotel maid appears to be played by a Mexican, whereas the guy appears to be played by a white guy, or else, number C, the forbidden pleasures of room service staff banging in your hotel bed while you're out, except less interesting, I mean, it really is so dull I couldn't even think of anything interesting to say about it. Her last video for Havana, where she's pretending to be in a telenovela for 2 minutes at the start for no obvious reason, was far better than this shit. Yeah.
You reckon when Shawn Mendes shows up on the motorcycle, do you think they had to get a stunt double in for that? Because he looks like a dude who could barely ride a BMX.
I thought it was a scooter. I didn't even notice it was a motorbike.
I think it was, He's wearing a leather jacket, which I assume they had to CGI on later because he just looks like a dude that...
He's very, very handsome in a sort of smooth-skinned Iglesias type way, or they've done some Photoshop stuff to his face because his face looks very Ken doll-esque, but he might just have a Ken doll-esque face. He certainly does not look Latin American at all. But,
No.
Hey, how would I know? Did this make you want to go to South America? Or possibly bang a hotel cleaning lady? Or both?
If I didn't have to listen to this song, I'd definitely go to South America, so for sure.
Personally, I found
I think a cocaine binge would probably make
that
the
might
song
help.
passable, but yeah.
I found it less authentic and politically engaging when compared to something like the song Tequila by ALT and the Lost Civilization.
Correct.
But then I really get called Senorita or banged in a hotel, so what do I know? Perhaps I'm missing out.
Definitely. Tequila, someone should cover that, shouldn't they? Really, so
They
that
should.
very good.
Or it's kind of a cover.
It's been covered
really.
50 times, I think, so absolutely. Lyrics.
Well, as you said, this is somehow written by Ali Tamposi, Benny Blanco, Camila Cabello, Kashmir Cat, Charlie XCX, Jack Patterson, Shawn Mendes, and somebody called Watt.
Oh, good.
I love it when you call me Senorita. I wish I could pretend I didn't need ya, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true la la la.
Yep.
See, what the 8 credited writers have done there, Ben, is rhyme ooh la la with true la la.
Yep.
That's why they get the big bucks.
Absolutely.
Well, 12.25% of the big bucks anyway, assuming this was all evenly divided up between the 8 human beings it took to write this boring bullshit.
Look, I think what we need to finally admit as a society, Tom, is that whenever someone says ooh la 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 in a song, we just go fucking apeshit for it. I don't know what it is. There must be something in the human brain that's just like ooh la la la, or ooh la la la. Like you throw that in there, and people are just like, ooh yeah, I fucking love that.
Her last number one, Havana, was built around that Havana ooh na na, which is just the Spanish way of saying ooh la la.
People
clearly we're missing
are
out
fucking
here.
morons, because you throw ooh la la into a bland as shit song and people are like going, oh yeah, I love that catchy hook that isn't even words.
We've got to get some more French pop on the charts
Yeah.
that's built around ooh la la.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Je t'aime and a bit of ooh la la, and we're going places, exactly. Now, Shawn Mendes has 45 million listeners. Camila Cabello has 40 million listeners. That's insane.
They've probably got a big sort of Latin audience that...
Certainly Shawn Mendes with his Latin
Yeah.
roots. with his Canadian
I
roots,
just mean there's no
Of
way their
course, yep.
success could be enough to justify those numbers.
and $28 on that one. So
I wonder how Fifth Harmony are doing these days.
oh, very well, very. They've been working from home
That's-
since 2016, Tom. So and I like the fact that they promoted the song about working from home when they're in an industry where it's impossible to work from home. So
Hey, 4 years ahead of COVID,
Yep.
you know.
now,
sometimes.
for those keeping score, that song that was only for the 1 week, wasn't it? 29th of July.
Mm-hmm.
So we're only halfway, just a bit over halfway through the year, Tom. Now, usually we'd have about 50 more songs to go.
We
or a good
would,
bu-
yes.
But 5th of August, the next song, that gets us through to the end of the year.
That's crazy,
So
isn't it?
it's a track that
Bonkers.
is number one for a full half of a year, basically, effectively. And of course, I'm referring to none other than Dance Monkey by Tones and I, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to that point. Now, the problem with doing this podcast,
Yeah.
I find, is that at times you have to talk about terrible songs. And we've had to do that in the past many, 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 many times. And talking about terrible songs is hard enough, but this is exacerbated by the fact that there are songs groundbreaking and life-affirming just around the corner that you'd rather be talking about,
Yes.
such as this one,
Sure.
some may say.
How did your kids feel about this one, Ben? I mean, I asked that because this hits at about the same emotional level as the Baby Shark song, or perhaps Johnny Johnny Yes Papa by Lulu Kids, the most popular song in the entire vein of human history measured by YouTube video plays.
Yep.
And initially, when I heard this, I did think that it was one of those songs. I assumed it was kind of a kids' novelty YouTube type song. And I mean, it could be, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you just put some dancing sharks in this video, or monkeys even, to suggest the title.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, both my kids really liked this song, Tom. I should point out that at the time, my son was 3 and my daughter had just turned 1. So they loved it.
In the
demographic hitting zone that I think Tones and I had established for this song. So they really liked it. But funnily enough, now that they're 6 and 4, they don't like it.
They've aged out
so
of it.
they've aged out of it, yeah.
And Ed Sheeran.
And Ed Sheeran as well.
I mean, people might say, Tom, when are you going to stop making these jokes about artists, whose music is targeted to 3-year-olds just because you're turning 45 this year? To which I reply, as soon as they stop making fucking songs that sound like they were written for 3-year-olds and by 3-year-olds.
Yeah, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Now, who knew, Tom, and this is something I didn't know before this song came out, but who knew that the combination of pseudo-scatting and baby voice would produce a song so potent it would become the longest running #1 song in Australia of all time.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I wouldn't have thought that a vocal performance this fucking annoying would be the thing that would get, there's that sort of baby voice nasally.
It's not just baby voice. She's doing like a cartoon Bjork impression. It's not just baby voice. It's like baby Scandi voice.
Yeah.
I mean, like you say, why is she doing it? That's the real question this song asks. Because her name is Toni Watson and she's from the Mornington Peninsula.
Yeah.
She does not. I've listened to her in interviews. She doesn't explain why she's doing it, and she sounds just like someone from Melbourne.
Yeah.
She does it in her previous song too. The follow-up question is it more annoying being able to sing without auto-tune than choosing to sing in a stupid fake accent like this? Or is it more annoying to use auto-tune with your real accent to sound like a bitchy teenager, like in Camila Cabello? Do you reckon?
Yeah, look, I think that's a really fair question. Auto-tune, I thought, really put a song in a specific time frame, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I would have thought that auto-tune said, this is heavily auto-tuned, it's from 2002, but I've been proven wrong because auto-tune has somehow persisted, and then it went out of fashion and it came back. There's been so many boom and bust auto-tune cycles.
And some genres use it more than others.
Exactly,
and vice versa.
exactly.
Yeah.
People use it sort of ironically, but then people use it ironically to the point where it's like, are you just using this seriously now? So it's hard to say.
Yeah.
So that becomes quite difficult. I know what you're saying. Auto-tune could sort of, depending on how you're using it, pinpoint a song to a specific era, whereas Tones and I using this vocal sort of, it could be universal. It's terrible at all times whenever it's released. It would have been terrible in 1982, terrible in 2019.
Exactly
It'll be
right.
terrible in 10 years' time. So the fact that
she is actually doing it. That's the thing. This is not auto-tuned. She's making this noise with her mouth.
Yeah, it's a conscious decision to do this. Now, and as I just pointed out, in the history of the ARIA charts, this podcast, we started looking back in 1983 when the ARIA chart started. From that through to now, 2019, we're up to, this is the longest running #1 song in that whole time. But not even that. It's not just the ARIA charts. It's the precursor to the ARIA charts. So the best ARIA chart song we spoke of in terms of length, Ed Sheeran, The Shape of You.
Yep.
That was the previous longest one. But in terms of all charts that have ever been done in Australia,
I saw this.
Bing Crosby's version of White Christmas spent 22 weeks on top of the charts back in 1943.
It sure did.
And this has eclipsed that. Now, back in 1943, Tom, I can understand White Christmas spending 22 weeks at the top of the charts.
Yeah.
For one, we were in World War II.
Yes.
It was during the war.
Yeah.
People were not recording new songs during that time. We were more concerned about fighting the Nazis. the actual Nazis, not sort of the Nazis we fight now online that sort of say things we don't agree with. But and also there was just sweet fuck all to do back in 1943. So Bing Crosby records that song. It's on the charts forever. But today, Tom, people have choices. There is no excuse for this to top the charts for the 21 weeks, and I think it actually shows up for 3 more weeks next year.
Yeah,
to
I think
do
it's
a
a 24
combined
total.
24-week total. So, look, I really want to know, I've talked about this before, how many listens were passive listens, how many listens are on shitty office party playlists that you just had to listen to. Though this might have been the result of some sort, I thought that perhaps, look, did someone poison the water supply in Australia? Did someone drop some drugs in there? I don't really know.
Yeah.
But it turns out this song topped the charts in 30 countries.
Yeah, no,
So
seriously.
it must have been an international water poisoning situation.
Even in America, it got to number 4 on the Billboard charts. Like it was legitimately huge. It's not just us. And it started out with sort of legit kind of viral play. Like it, her previous song, the one that got her name heard, Johnny Runaway, was before there was no record label or actual releases or anything. She uploaded it to Triple J Unearthed, the radio station that has it. You can just upload any old song from anyone, and they'll play the best ones that they reckon on the radio. And that got enough play, and that was only earlier this year. And then by the end of the year, she's put out the subsequent follow up, which they've taken up. And from there, it's just exploded across the internet and through via the radio. She still doesn't even have an album. This comes off their first release, which is an EP. So at this age, she's somewhere between 19 and 26 because, she's not willing to disclose her actual age. But in the interviews, she sounds like she's 20. She's used to folding clothes in Target, then quit that job to be a busker, the way you do. She's only been busking for 2 years, and then suddenly she's touring the world. I mean, you could say, hey, you must have some talent when you see how long some buskers have been doing their stuff for. Although by the same token, those buskers are the competition that she was up against.
True.
So that crazy guy on heroin who bangs the spoons together, for the last 30 years in the Fremantle Mall, I don't think he was going to be picked up on Unearthed anytime soon.
Exactly. But as you mentioned, Tom, this is sort of became viral and went quite big, to the point that this was actually declared the most Shazammed song of all time. Yeah. With 36.6 million searches. The platform published that list at the end of 2020 and said, across all the time Shazam's been operating, this is the song that's been Shazammed the most. Now,
which is to say, what's that song playing in the background?
Yeah, exactly.
That I've never heard
for
of.
sure.
Yeah.
Now, do we know how many people wanted to know what the song was so they could listen to it again later? And how many were saying, what in the living fuck is this? I never want to listen to this again in my life. We don't know. Shazam have not released that data. But I think it's probably the latter. A lot of people Shazamming it just be like, oh, Tones and I'll make sure that if anyone brings that up in conversation, I'll say, oh yeah, without hyperbole, these are some of the worst vocals I've heard in the last 3,000 years. So.
Or I suppose, third option, it could be another time traveller, the guy who started Lulu Kids, on the phone holding it up saying, hey Gary, this is that sound you've always been waiting for.
Exactly.
We're going to make $1 million.
Yep.
We're just going to go back in the past and write Johnny Johnny Yes Papa and the Baby Shark song.
Now,
they've all got to be animal themed. It's animals. That's what people want.
They do. That's what they do want. Now, Tones and I, as you mentioned, Tom, she wrote this song when she was a busker playing for Tips, Byron Bay in New South Wales. She loved the freedom of busking, Tom, but was dismayed by certain types of people, drunks and idiots, who could, ruin the experience of busking. She came to the realisation that attention spans were getting shorter Entertainment is now just a click away, so she had to tighten up her act to get people to stick around for any length of time and watch her perform. She said that this made her feel like a trained monkey, which inspired the song. And there was a specific night that led to Tones and I writing this particularly. She said, I'd been busking for 6 hours. One person ran past, stole the money. Another was drunk and tried to lean over and play my keyboard. The crowd was very drunk and rowdy. I said, I'm sorry, but this is it. They tried to get me to keep playing. Then they started booing me. It was so frustrating because it showed me how people didn't have much patience anymore. So we have the people of Byron Bay to blame for this song, Tom.
So many other things, but
by extension, is Byron Bay the worst place in Australia?
Well, the only musicians that I know specifically as coming from Byron Bay are Angus and Julia Stone and that twat who wrote Feels Like Woe, who complained that being on X Factor wasn't the fucking the rocket to stardom who's so boring I can't remember his name.
Is that where Parkway Drive are from? I can't remember. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, just if you're not from Australia, it's sort of famously known for the kind of pretentious alternative lifestyle hipsters and, you know, the kinds of people who, you know, go busking expecting they're going to get a career instead of getting a hat full of money to go and get beer money with, and don't seem to realise that playing to piss people and have somebody leaning over and touching your keyboards
it's just
100% of the fucking job.
Yeah, look, exactly. So it's definitely the worst place in Australia.
2 words. You know what that story suggests to me, Ben? Exactly 2 words.
Yep.
The first word is rich, and the second word is parents.
Oh.
But, you know, I could be wrong.
Could be wrong, we'll find out.
Rich or otherwise, she's now worth approximately $35 million. So, you know, that's not bad for a busker, I'll give her that.
And I dare say she's made 35 of that $35 million off this one song because she's done a sweet fuck all of consequence since. But we'll get to that in a second.
Didn't Ed Sheeran start out as a busker as well?
I think he did, yeah, exactly.
And end as a busker?
That's
exactly what he sounds like still.
Exactly.
And looked like.
Now, Tom, when you decide to call your debut album Welcome to the Madhouse, then you know the content contained within is going to be terrible. Welcome to the Madhouse. Yep, I'm just a crazy character, and listening to this album is like a trip to the old mental asylum, Tom. Although it is hard to believe that someone that chose the stage name Tones and I could make poor creative decisions, I guess. We don't really know.
That's right.
You've seen the music video to this?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I think everyone has, unfortunately. Probably just while in shops or something. But Tones and I is dressed as an old man, causing havoc on the golf course. It has absolutely nothing to do with the song and was apparently thought up as a fun idea by Tones and I, independent of the track itself. I think she came up with the idea before she'd actually written the song. It was supposed to be a fun idea.
Did she come up with the idea independently to the film Bad Granddad? Or the Jackass spin-offs with the Bad Granddad, which is exactly what the video is, which happened like 10 years before this?
Sure. So, apparently the old Tones character provided the old Tones character was quite popular, and the low budget video garnered hundreds and thousands of views. And Tones had to say this: I have the kind of personality that is silly, but it also protected me. The old Tones, the old man protected me, from being really camera shy and stuff. So she dressed up as a character to try and avoid having to be herself.
Well, I will say, to be fair to her, she doesn't have the traditional sort of manufactured pop star look. She doesn't look like Ariana Grande, so she's not going to do that in her videos, So, you got to do something, but putting on a rubber suit and pretending to be an old guy, that was probably fun. I think it was just filmed at a golf club in Victoria. They just drive around in golf carts and be dickheads,
Yeah. So look, anyway, Tom, off the back of obviously Dance Monkey and the video clip we've just spoken about with the old Tones, the out-of-nowhere success of Dance Monkey made Tones and I a significant sum of cash, as you just talked about. She was able to move out of the van and has become a property mogul of some sort. She's purchased several properties. Dare I say, a lot of other people made a lot of money out of this. not just Tones and I, but I guess, songwriters, producers,
Yep.
managers, etc. So they're very invested in chasing that high again for that sort of follow-up single and sort of more financial reward. They've obviously looked at the aspect of Dance Monkey and tried to recreate this for another single. The follow-up, and all of Tones and I follow-up singles have been beyond terrible, suggesting that Tones and I, she's more of a broken clock is right twice a day scenario than the future of pop music, I
I
dare
haven't
suggest.
listened to any of her others except for the previous one, which was okay. That Johnny
Run around.
Yeah,
Still
she
baby
sings
voice,
it in
still
that
terrible. Yeah.
weird fake Bjork accent, but
yeah.
it's the actual song is okay.
All
It's
the
not-
follow-ups are atrocious, Tom.
Okay.
One of the follow-up singles that she did release, which she thought could be another hit, was titled "You're So Fucking Cool," which has to be the absolute worst topic to write a song about. Oh, I went somewhere and everyone was really cool, and I was like, oh, you guys are so
that
cool.
shit, yeah.
So Daniel Johns tackled this on Freak, I believe, about 20 years ago in a song that 10 times better than this, a million times, I don't think there's a multiplier, a number exists.
That's what I was talking about. That's basically the same topic of that Bieber and Ed Sheeran song, and it's about as believable from them as well.
Exactly. So anyway, Tones and I, she's dressed up as the old man in Dance Monkey.
Yep.
We've seen that. And in the video clip for You're So Fucking Cool, she dresses up as about 10 people, the party goers.
Oh, okay.
So she's at the party, there's
Yep.
Tones and I's come up to the party, then all the guests at the party are also Tones and I in different costumes. So Tones and I, she's basically the new Eddie Murphy at this point, is what I'm saying, Tom.
Sure.
So if the career doesn't work out, she can probably do like a sort of, Clumps style, Nutty Professor style thing.
Let's hope.
Or maybe even a Chris Lilly style Netflix show where she plays all the characters. Maybe even some blackface just for media attention. So we have that to look forward to. So I'm calling it now, Tones and I is the new Eddie Murphy. So watch out for that.
The new Chris
Now,
Lilly.
here's a question I've been wanting to ask you, Tom.
Yeah.
What's the standard length of time before an artist can be classified as a one-hit wonder? What's that length
That's
in
a
time?
good question.
Is there
That
a
is a good
formula?
question.
I mean, there's always going to be the outliers, a train that releases, Drops of
Yeah.
Jupiter and then waits a full decade before they get something like
That's
Hey Soul
true.
Sister out. But I think for the most part, probably you have a massive hit like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, something like that range. If you
Yeah.
haven't hit again by that, you're probably going to be a
Well,
one-hit
like
wonder.
you used to say, in the old days, it was pretty easy to tell. It was usually if their second album was either a greatest hits or Christmas album without a second album of original music, then that
Yep.
probably meant that you were a one-hit
That's
wonder.
true. I mean, we do recall Vanilla Ice went straight into the live album about 3 months after the album came out,
Yes.
and then the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 soundtrack. So by the time his second album dropped, all the goodwill he'd earned from Ice Ice Baby
Yes.
and Burn Away. So look, this is what I think though, Tom. We can call Tones and I a one-hit wonder at this point. I'm not counting the follow-up single Never Seen the Rain, which did release, which is fucking awful. That hit number 3 on the charts, but I'm not going to count that as the gravitational force of a big hit can drag the follow-up single significantly further up the charts than what it would have otherwise have
Yes.
landed. Now, given that Dance Monkey was the biggest song that has ever been on the ARIA charts in the history of time, and as you just mentioned, has probably earned Tones and I somewhere in the vicinity of $30 million alone off that single. That song, Dance Monkey, is effectively the song equivalent of the gravitational pull of the sun. So without Dance Monkey, my calculation suggests that the follow-up, Never Seen the Rain, would have landed somewhere at around 200 to 300 on the charts, I dare say. But Dance Monkey pulled it up to number 3.
Sure.
Nothing else she's done has cracked the top 20. She's
Oh, the
released
Aries.
several other
Yeah.
follow-up singles, but nothing else has been able to get any higher up than the top 20, which, given how Dance Monkey, how big that song was, shows just how terrible the follow-up
Yeah.
material is. She's had Dance Monkey. After that, no one has given a shit about the rest of it because it's so bad.
That's true. And I mean, she's fairly young, but even then, your first album traditionally is if you've got talent, your first album is the easiest in some ways because it's got all the material that you'd been working on up to that point, even if it may be a bit not easiest, but it if you've got material built up, you know, that you've been, and then you break through, that's the one where you put all your ideas, and then, you know, the second album's the tough one because now you've got to write a bunch of new stuff. You know, even as, you know, artists develop as they go along. But if if your best song happens before your first album's even come out, and then nothing on the album is even close to the success of the song that you wrote before, you know, that album came out, then yeah, I don't know. Maybe she needs to get back out on the streets of friggin' wherever she was busking. Exactly. I mean, I live in Melbourne and I have no idea where she was busking. I suppose she was only doing it for 2 years.
Not sure.
Maybe she was in, you know, Hawthorne or something.
Well, I think she moved to Byron Bay for the busking.
Oh, okay.
She's from the Mornington Peninsula.
She's from,
I think, so
yeah, you're right.
You could probably bust down at Frankston.
No, that makes way more sense.
Now,
yeah.
Tom, Tones and I recently got married in Bali. I don't know if you saw this story.
No.
The location of said wedding in no way surprises me, Tom. I think Tones and I does scream Bali wedding to me. I think across the board. Now, she almost drowned and had to be saved by lifeguards at the wedding.
Oh,
so apparently, yeah, unfortunately. Thank goodness, though, the lifeguards were there. Imagine if she'd drowned. She's already the Jeff Buckley of our generation, I dare say, from a musical point of view. I'd hate to see her go out the same way as he did, and think of all the music that would have missed out on yourself, us, society, if she'd sunk to that watery grave. Years and years of baby voice, scatting, lost to the mistress we call the ocean. Fortunately, she did survive, and we now have that bitter divorce album to look forward to, I dare say. So I think the story was she said she almost drowned, but I think someone just had to come in and bring her aboard. She was on like a inflatable boat that started sinking or something. So I think it was a little bit overboard.
Hey, look, you know, you've only got $35 million. You need something to sell a new idea.
Yeah. Now, Tom, there is a cruel irony to this song.
Mm-hmm.
Tones and I indicated that it was written after that particularly bad night of busking, about how she felt the attention spans were getting shorter, that entertainment is just a click away, and this made her feel like a trained monkey. We spoke about that before.
Yep.
Now, this song is a reaction against that feeling, not wanting to feel like a trained monkey, while people are looking at her, wanting to be entertained. However, unfortunately, this is the song that she will be known for the rest of her life. And anyone who will want her on a live TV performance, in an interview, this will be the song that they're going to ask her about forever. So Tones and I will have to become, I guess, that metaphorical trained monkey and perform this song over and over and over again, which is a song about not wanting to be a trained monkey. So in essence, her anti-novelty song has become a novelty song.
Yeah.
She has to get up on stage and sing about the very thing that she hates about the audience, and that is in turn the only thing that the audience wants from her. So in many ways,
well observed.
Yes, in many ways.
No, you're right.
In many ways, she has to now trot out the same shit over and over and over again to an audience that only wants this, but the song is about the complete opposite of that.
I was thinking about what you've mentioned in earlier podcasts about what actually constitutes a novelty song. Like, for instance, you could say, this is bordering on novelty song territory because it's someone doing a completely fake voice. It's just a weird vocal affectation which creates this kind of strange, kind of kid-friendly vibe to it, this sort of silly, weird thing. And it looks as though, as you say, this may be, if not a novelty song, at least a one-hit wonder.
Yep.
But then, like, it's sort of that kind of odd little fake Scandinavian-sounding, weird, quirky vocal thing might have been the thing that pushed this over the line from, you know, catchy dance charts bop into worldwide success, you know, because people listen to things in weird ways. But then that kind of quirkiness, especially once people figure out that it's an affectation, might be the thing that dooms this to being a one-hit wonder, you know, because once people know it's all bollocks.
Oh, look.
That it's all fake. Or because they've approached it as a novelty hit, then it's inherently sort of limited.
I think it's safe to say that Tones and I is definitely a one-hit wonder at this point, unless she does a train on us and drops something else in 5 years' time.
There's always a get-out clause.
There
if
is,
you
exactly.
show up on the charts 5 years later,
for sure. Look, maybe saying an anti-novelty song has become a novelty song isn't quite correct, but certainly her song about not pandering to the audience.
I think you're totally right. I'm not. I wasn't disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it just.
But I think if at the very least it's a song about not wanting to pander to your audience, but then she's going to have to do that forever.
No, you're exactly right. That's the fate of all one-hit wonders. So if you're writing a song about being a trained monkey and then
then you end up having to be the trained monkey to that. So yeah.
I mean, I suppose if she hadn't heard 35 million, then the ultimate irony would be if you ended up back on the street busking, except now you had to always play this song.
Oh, it's horrendous. What a horrendous way to live. Look, we don't drop too many exclusives on this show, Tom, but look, we've done our research and I can say the following. Have you seen the wedding pictures of Tones and I or an Instagram account recently?
No.
I believe that the person getting around as Tones and I, performing as Tones and I, and getting married as Tones and I is not the Tones and I that we all know and love from Dance Monkey. I think she's pulled an MF Doom and is just sending random people out to perform her material.
Okay.
I saw a photo of her wedding and I said, that could be fucking anybody. I saw a photo that she'd uploaded to her Instagram and I thought, I don't really know whether that's Tones and I. So I think that as we spoke about before with the whole not wanting to be a novelty performer and do your own shit over and over and over again, I'd say that she couldn't handle having to go out and perform her I'm Not a Trained Monkey song like a trained monkey every night to people. So she hired a stand-in Tones and I for all future work, including the wedding.
She's getting ahead of it.
Hot exclusive here, Tom. There's a fake Tones and I out there doing all of her stuff.
Yeah,
so
I mean, that would
first.
explain that, in her biggest video, she's wearing full body camouflage,
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then in her next video, more camouflage.
For sure.
Look, we're almost at the end of the year, as you said, but there is one small blip in one tiny little island in the massive flat sea of Tones and I.
Oh, sorry, I did say this is going to take us through to the end of the year. I wasn't right, was it?
Not
exactly?
quite, no.
Not quite.
There is, once again, for 1 week, 30th of December, All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. That, along with Shallow by, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, that is our other returning hit, for this year.
Jeepers creepers.
So the Queen of Christmas is back, Ben. I tried to copyright the name Queen of Anzac Day, but the RSL were less than accepting.
What?
And frankly, they didn't like my parade outfit at all.
Damn.
There aren't any World War I diggers left alive, Ben. So how can they prove that taffeta wasn't worn at Gallipoli?
They can't say that.
They can't say that. They can't. But apparently, Australia still wasn't ready for my pink armband version of history. Are indeed pink armbands worn during a military parade largely commemorating fallen servicemen, even though statistically about 6% of them would have been gay. So, probably more, really.
Oh, no doubt.
Look, so I just thought I might wrap up the year with a few updates to things we'd previously mentioned beforehand.
Yeah, for sure.
Afro Man update.
Yep, good.
Did we discuss Afro Man last time?
I don't think so.
We talked about Afro Man because he wrote the song "Cause I Got High."
Oh yeah,
which was a #1 hit on the ARIA charts. And I just wondered what you thought about watching him. Did you see his house getting raided for drugs,
absolutely.
Which he then turned into a music video?
Yep.
He's now released a second song based on that same raid called Lemon Pound Cake, which is about the fat cop who took away his cake.
Stole his cake.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And plus got a lot of media exposure.
Fantastic.
The raid was for narcotics and kidnapping, neither of which they found. As he notes in his first song, they did not find any kidnapping victims in his suit pockets or between the folds of the money that they confiscated out of his house. Ladies with Enormous Cans update.
Okay.
After appearing in the 2017 hit "I'm the One" by DJ Khaled, Bieber, and a bunch of other knobs,
Yep.
Russian ex-Playboy model Irina Ivanova had to struggle for a year to get the Perusivlaki anti-vagina Khaled to cough up the $1,250 US he owed her for the shoot. Quote, "They reached out to me on Instagram and asked if I wanted to be the lead, and they needed me to be there in 8 hours. I lived in Arizona and it was in California. It wasn't a problem. I bought my own ticket and did my own makeup and hair. After that, she rode a horse in a bikini and stilettos in the opening shot of a video with well over 1 billion views for a song shot in front of a mansion entirely themed around the extravagant wealth and success of the gold-teeth, penis-having fuckwits on the verses, and then they stiffed her on her piss-weak fee, which presumably means that this is a regular thing they do to their video dancers, most of whom would have less followers than an ex-Playboy Playmate. I can only say that DJ Khaled, you fucking played yourself. That's so lame.
Oh, dude sucks.
$12.50 for fucking...
Dude sucks shit.
And making the dancers buy their own plane tickets to come to your shoot. And, oh, man, how lame is that? Oh, and Ticketmaster update, after we were talking about Taylor Swift struggling with Ticketmaster for her world tour, where they completely shat the bed on that one. Robert Smith is currently trying to fight Ticketmaster's pricing by choosing his own ticket prices instead of using Ticketmaster's proprietary dynamic maxi shafter algorithm. It turns out that even if you make the tickets non-transferable, so they can't be resold, and charge $20 for some seats just to keep things fair, they'll still double your prices by adding bullshit charges and so forth. And even if you don't fight them, then post Taylor Swift, they've clearly done fuck all to change their existing policies. For instance, tickets for another high-profile tour after Taylor's tour, headlined by Drake and 21 Savage, went on sale last week, and fans were quickly enraged by the sky-high pricing of the pre-sale seats, with one Twitter user writing, "Drake smoking dick with these ticket prices." And I don't think I can summarise Drake's career better than that sentence, Ben.
Absolutely not.
Oh, and one other thing, we all know about the revolutionary Solo project, which used identical twins, the Veronicas, to promote vodka cruises via the crucial and ever pertinent social issue of chicks not flicking the bean enough. Well, cruises are now selling a new line of drinks which are just UDLs with extra booze in them. They're called doubles, and the ads use identical twins in them, but not the Veronicas. So the timing of this split to me suggests that the brand and the sisters must have had a different vision for the future of the product, you know. Where do you think they diverged creatively? Do you think one masturbation anthem was enough? And then...
Yeah, look, I dare say that the Veronicas said we'll only promote wank material, and they said, what about double up on alcohol content? They went, we want nothing to do with that. So.
No, we want sober masturbation,
Exactly.
or at least slightly buzzed masturbation.
Exactly.
I thought that maybe the sisters, after they'd gone solo in the Solo project, were now ready, as I'd previously suggested, to take the brand in a direction more to do with like normalising the idea of inter-sibling incest, which you have got to admit would certainly fit the brief of doubles and taking things to a new level.
And it would be on brand for the Veronicas, very much
right.
so.
And you'd have to have drunk a few to go through with it. But,
Yep.
you know, yeah. Sadly, they don't have the vision of us to release, you know, a full album specifically about incest.
I think I'm sad to see that the Veronicas and Vodka Cruises are no longer working together. So I thought that was like a lifetime sort of collaboration. I thought, you know, I think the alignment of the values of the Veronicas and Vodka Cruises was very, you know, solid. And I thought that, you know,
promoting femme fun.
Yeah, exactly right.
Unless that was a tampon ad I dreamed about.
I'm not sure, but disappointing. But look, I'm sure they might come back together in the future, so for sure.
I can
One
only
can only
hope.
hope. Absolutely.
Possibly riding horses in a bikini.
Yes. Don't fucking do it for DJ Khaled though.
No,
He'll stiff you on the
clearly.
fee. So
Fucking oath.
definitely. All right. Well, that's it. That's it for the year.
That's
So
29 and 2019 and the decade. The 2010s wrapped up.
absolutely, we'll be back next week. Sorry, not next week. Next episode could be 3 weeks, could be 6 years. Who knows? But yeah, with a decade wrap, I think we got to put together everything,
Yes.
wrap up the end of the decade, and then we'll move into our current decade, the 2020s. So and see what is up in the last few years.
And
So.
sorry about the big gap there. We had a bit of family issues and so forth. Yeah.
Indeed, but we will be back with more to talk about.
Not
stuff.
the Veronica's type of family issues.
No,
Not that
those
sort
sorts of family issues.
Yeah, yes,
absolutely.
we'll be back.
There's no more. There's no more Tones and I. Is there any or Bieber?
I doubt
I hope
it.
not. Good.
Surely not.
All right, great.
See
Farewell.
ya.